Yeah. That's why, and
Yeah, but they still did plenty with changing the banana
Sarah, can you hear me? Can we try the sound?
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay, now we should say.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
Perfect. How's San Francisco?
It's San Francisco, but I'm gearing up for the San Francisco, Kansas City game.
My dad would say, go Chiefs.
Yeah.
I'll be back. I said that.
I did do something last night that I never thought I would see in my lifetime, and that is I got into an autonomously driving taxi. No
Okay.
driver, drove all around San Francisco in a car without a driver. It is
How was it?
very nuanced. I was surprised. I thought it would be, problematic for certain kinds of things, but very nuanced, like a professional driver. It was amazing. It was freaky, but
Oh my God.
That's crazy.
Oh, probably a better driver than me, so.
well, I had to do a little reading before I wanted to get inside of one of those autonomous taxis. So I guess they're 88% safer than a regular taxi driver.
Wow.
Well, anymore,
That
it
doesn't
seems like a
sad.
regular cab driver, they're using their phone.
safe.
Not enough for
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah,
You only get in a
Chicago,
wreck, Katie.
Yeah.
we got in a cab, we got an Uber thing with the
Yeah.
guy,
Oh no, my wife's parking right, so I tried it
and
out. I
so
will never do
Myra
it.
and I are
It was
both,
on the freeway,
Myra and I are
literally.
both trying.
It'll show you on the screen, there's a semi in front of you, and then you set to a certain,
And so
Yeah.
he's trying to
Speed.
do stuff.
and it'll
He goes,
actually
"Oh,
get
I can
over
turn here," and we
and then
started
go back. And
turning
once it did that like 2 times, I was like, nope.
Turning up and
Nope.
going off
We're
ramp
not doing
of
it.
the-
We're not doing it.
And we're like.
You know, our kids are gonna be like total self-driver car people, and they're gonna
Yeah.
be like their parents with like cell phones, like, how do you do this?
I just learned how to use Uber a lot.
My kids already give me a hard time for being old, so.
Oh, yeah, I had
Oh,
used Uber till we were
so-
in Philadelphia a few years ago. I was like,
Welcome to modern
I
times.
drive, or I use the.
Yeah. So there's nothing that's up on.
Yeah, I've never done that except when we were in.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially just the blurb of,
Right,
So my
You'll
wife was
probably want
like,
the
"Okay,"
word
she's like, my son's like, no, we're getting
right.
Ubers.
Mhm.
yeah, board.
Which-
One of my classmates, I first learned about Uber,
Alright.
was one of my
So
classmates.
get-
Is there a way you can share your screens? We can see the,
Calling in, asking for
what they're doing on what screen, even with Brian under that.
Yes, so,
With a startup.
I didn't know how much you wanted to share, because it is public meeting, so it will be, the video will be
Oh, what's
posted.
that? Okay, you can look it up. but
So if we are showing some of the board
He,
portal and sharing the
He was at the
screen.
ground floor.
We can show, no, we can
Still
show the
there.
portal now because there's
And
no
I see if he
applications.
gets bought.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
So they can see everything.
Yeah.
There's
He had
nothing,
to stay there. He wanted to get
the
a
public can't see.
But he had to
Okay.
stay there 5 years first.
Yeah, that was the one
Yeah.
that I was like, oh, do I?
Right.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I don't
I'll
know
look
if
that
I
up.
haven't gotten into.
What's that?
I think he's my wealthiest.
You're right. I don't know, I bought Facebook the minute it came out, it's sort of like $27. My wife said, don't do it, don't do it. And then it dumped, and I bought it at 27 and it dumped back down to like $6.
If you just want you to open up that planning agenda, then we'll start from that link.
Okay.
Was he West
We'll show
Point
them
or-
how to get
Yeah.
it.
I got Starbucks 25 years ago.
Armor.
And that's
Armor.
like-
What's this one, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I don't think any cares.
Really smart, like.
Not until the application's
I
going.
was gonna say, armor's not necessarily known for the smartest.
What's a Fortune part? The CEO. You would think it's gonna.
Really?
Just like.
Yeah, there's.
Yeah, people want to be.
So Stacy's.
In the
it should
planning
be a-
document, it's the first link.
Okay, so hang on. Nope, that word doesn't mean anything to me.
Okay.
So search Stacy Ritchie in your email.
In my email, okay.
Should we be listening to these directions?
Has anyone
Sure,
gotten
yeah.
into the portal yet?
I have not.
Okay.
I've
Is
got
that what
to
you're telling
once.
us? How to?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right, so what are we looking for?
So if you search Stacy Ritchie, so STACY.
Okay.
And then RICHIE.
Yep, I see that one. Shared with you. Okay.
So yeah, it should be a shared site with you,
Okay.
and then there's a link to the portal in that email.
All right.
All right.
RICHIE.
Okay, and so this is, this one.
So different from.
No, because you're already logged, so it's attached to your
email.
email, yeah.
Got it,
So
okay.
because you're already
Okay.
logged into your email.
Got
and
it.
you have access to it.
Okay, okay.
How am I supposed to know what my email password is?
Oh, you're already logged into it. Oh,
No.
Hmm.
I know what mine is, but I can't think of type it right now.
I don't know what mine is, but it's on my personal email.
Yeah, if it's already logged in, that would have come
Under my,
from tech.
It used to happen
For
to
your
me and then
email.
it got reset and then I.
I have
think it's hard to get back.
Wrote it down.
No, it's not.
Secure.
Mhm.
Cause I can't remember, beginning with 16 or.
Well, they make us change ours now.
I know, I know, I know.
That's hard for me to remember each year.
Still missing 2 board members?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kathy and Myra.
Okay.
And I just checked my phone to make sure there was.
I know, I
no-
was like, shit.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't think it.
Ryan, we're still waiting for 2 board members.
No problem.
Kathy texted me just a minute ago saying she couldn't find her keys, ETA is 8:05.
Okay,
She'll be ready in a couple minutes.
all right, let me just ping Myra and make sure she's.
Okay, now that I got into my email, sorry, what was I searching?
Stacy Ritchie with the IE, not an I.
Or DLR group. Or
SCHY.
sorry, DLR,
All right. See. Yep.
I did go here first, when we first got it.
Yes, if you can bookmark that link, that'll be helpful because you're not gonna get hardly any emails from us. This is the reason why. Everything goes to the portal.
It's like your personal website for the search, basically. So you're not receiving hundreds of emails. About
Good.
every new candidate.
Yep.
It's all gonna be in there.
And we'll walk you through all that.
And you won't be able to log in with your personal email. It's just the district.
Right,
That makes sense.
yeah, I didn't realize, there's a bunch of emails.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hey, Abby.
Changing the date, changing the location, and changing the plan, or not date, but changing, because it was like.
It's not my
So there's
routine.
just been-
I couldn't find my
Yeah.
keys.
We had it yesterday.
Oh,
Need to have the
That's
lunch.
generally how.
It's like 2 hours from.
Will
what
the
she said.
coffee,
I stopped last night. I
the
didn't
coffee
care.
will help with that.
Yes.
No, they will still give you lunch. Like, I will buy you lunch. if they-
Well, but they had to order.
I had a water
So
gate like a week
so
ago.
I would
I put my-
You put in an order.
I was saying the live stream.
yeah.
Yeah, but we're
And then
having
I
it.
tried to
That's
make it.
really-
Noon.
Yeah,
Right.
well, I sent her what I wanted,
Yeah.
but
Or
still, I was like.
This is.
Hello.
Did you see the email?
No.
12:30 this morning.
12:30 AM this morning.
To print. You have to take a
I was
break.
up.
Oh,
I did not see
okay.
that.
No, I just sent it to
Yeah,
her.
it's not good.
But I mean, it's not, we can wait, that'll be after.
Okay,
Somebody.
Okay, so.
yeah, no,
Myra,
I did
I'll
not
be
see that.
So what,
Well, no, I'm sure once.
Do we wanna wait for my?
Yes.
Probably,
Town,
yeah.
and so-
yeah, she's on her way.
This year, oh, they did reply.
Yeah, so I knew.
So weird.
I know you had 3 hours blocked out. This is gonna take probably an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Okay.
So we're not gonna go near.
So, and on
So your
that,
email for that. can also-
Mike,
Tell them
an
that, like,
hour and a half, 2 hours, but we probably have like 15 minutes to
Yeah.
review the interactions.
Send
and
me the
post on
message a few days
Thursday.
ago. And I
Okay.
had
Yeah.
Get too excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Email the customer, it's like, you need to know. 'cause I-
Captive audience.
They-
Right.
it's on
Drop
Monday.
my calendar till
No,
11.
not-
Okay.
Next year.
There's enough other things going on.
There's gonna be- that's a lot.
I'm already picked off.
It's all tired. Yeah, me.
Our regional.
Yeah, we have soccer today and baseball tomorrow.
Yeah, no, it's good. Well, this.
No, I
this is
went
a graphic
to- yeah,
chamber,
yeah. No, I went to that last year.
Yes.
Sure night.
That's fun. From the place on.
We haven't been regularly
Yeah.
attending for.
Well, I don't know if
It's
it's-
been- it's been sitting there for-
Yeah.
So. Government. Then.
Yeah, it's like we're all official seriously.
But the bowls, and you know, ruin every year. We just dug it up.
But yeah, it was Barlow missing recognition or something else or something.
So, yeah, they were gonna
Yeah.
put it like.
Yeah, yeah.
So even.
Spigots, because our house has one spigot in the front.
And we had.
And whether it's.
How was the flight in?
It was good. Yeah, it was good.
Spigots kind of-
Our first flight got delayed a little bit, wasn't, that's what we always like coming the day before. And there's sometimes when I'll have a board meeting that night, and I leave that morning, but I'm always paranoid about, are we gonna get delayed or canceled or not make it? Yeah,
Yeah.
Did you stay by the airport?
And.
we were
So I was on the.
15 minutes from the airport, maybe. Yeah.
Before you went away?
Towards the city. Is that towards Portland?
Okay.
It's over.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
area is
I only
really
asked because we had a wedding just a couple weeks ago.
Right, yeah.
And
It was there.
my friends were like, so where's the city? That's what I'm there. What's around here?
However, the entrance.
Yeah.
It is, that it was a little more expensive and a little bit farther away. It is fun. You have to kind of be there for a bit to make it worthwhile, make minimums Edgefield.
So normally on our first trip into the district office, we kind of scope around for motels or hotels and we didn't see any.
Well, and that.
Right off the Gresham restaurant, right up the street.
Yeah.
Well, my friend stayed there and it was, I mean,
Nice.
By Weimar?
Like the.
Yeah.
The Comfort Inn or-
Well,
And
it's
what they did,
it's
you know, the
fine
distribution warehouse.
for the price, cost versus benefit. But if you want,
How was
you
it?
know, quality,
Uh-huh.
Why are they doing this?
beer, I mean,
Yeah.
only 25 minutes.
Right.
Yes.
So I just let
I
it up to
thought
them.
you, the Sandy,
I remind him of.
So we're-
I have not stayed there. That's
Oh,
Western or something, so it was good.
But that's even the.
But I've heard that that was.
There's one right across
Yeah.
from us, right at the airport. It's
Just shoot.
like really new, really modern, and it's really good.
Yeah, it took us about 25 minutes from our hotel to get here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not, and there was no.
There's no traffic.
It was- Yeah. So I
Did you-
think, yeah, my friends did the cheaper one, but
Relative.
on the city side, we gotta do something.
There's not,
But yeah.
Really, nothing.
There's nothing like.
when we have water polo tournaments, we're like, just stay at the airport, it's not that far.
That's what I thought, like for youth tournaments and
Out
things, like
You
where
didn't have to
to
take
family days.
Yeah.
Or your civic duty.
But-
Yeah, no, PGE used to be
Yeah.
all over that.
Somebody-
Well, and we had only,
And,
Yes.
they were good about.
yeah, why not? I'll just take over the
Yeah,
world.
there you go.
So how lines at the airport, like
And
to
it
get
was
through
nice.
security, not bad. We leave at 6 tomorrow morning.
Depends on the,
Get there at 4.
I never get there an hour,
And
more than an hour ahead of time, so.
Because if you leave at 6, your plane's gonna board at 5.
That's good.
We board at 6.
oh, you board it. Oh.
Yeah, we board.
I
at
would be
6.
there.
10 to
So
6.
here.
Mike likes.
Oh,
to-
the board at 6, not department.
Correct. We board at 5:50 to be exact.
5:40.
So,
That's what I would.
Not an official recommendation.
I've never, for the record,
That's because they hold the door open for those people for
no,
about
I've
15
never,
minutes.
done one like that, never.
Uh,
This is curious.
Going on a business trip, my friend lives in Corvallis, it's 2.5 hours away, so she gets up,
Oh,
drives 2.5 hours, gets there 2 hours early,
So.
does everything she's supposed to. I leave my house probably about 25 minutes before boarding,
Yeah.
and
And I'm like,
my husband starts to go
No,
on
she's,
the freeway.
No, she said she. got a
And
flat tire
I
to
looked at
Sunday.
him and I'm like,
Um,
are you out of your mind? Yeah, right, so he gets up there, it's stop and go traffic. He backs down the on-ramp and he gets me there on time. And I go through security and I walk in right as they board the plane and my friend looks at me and she goes, I hate you. Because I've been on for minutes.
Yeah.
Like 6 hours probably. I'm like,
That's funny.
If we, I mean, yeah, I live probably 25 minutes from the airport and I
Yeah.
leave
Do
an
you
hour
have
and a
a
half.
TSA pre-check?
I do now, but that's only like the last 2 times I've flown.
Do you
and I
guys have it?
Always.
I do.
yeah.
I keep telling her to get it.
Oh, it is
So
the
please tell her to
nicest,
get it.
it is the
Yeah,
nicest
it is.
thing.
Is it a
You don't have
pay
to
per
take
year?
No, it's like for 3 years.
It's like 3 or 4 years or
I think
something.
it's 5.
5 years. I think
It's
it's
5
5
years,
years.
yeah, yeah.
5 years.
The biggest thing.
Trying to convince my wife
$80
to let us get it.
You
We
don't have to
fly
take
enough
your
and I'm like.
Mhm.
So what I can't figure out, if you have pre-check, you can leave your laptop in your bag.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
now,
But if you don't have pre-check, you take it out.
Yeah.
now at Portland, they just redid it. They have all the scanners that you don't have to take
Okay.
out electronics. My son just went to pick up his girlfriend and he said they have all the new scanners. Cause normally he would, like, we're gonna go in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, we're gonna have one, yeah.
Recognitions.
Well,
I don't know.
and
He
even
didn't
though
go through
when you have
security. He just picked
pre-check,
her up, but he knows
you
which
still
scanners.
can
Cause
be
when we
part of
fly,
a
he's like,
random
I'm gonna go.
pull
with
out,
that.
but
He
it
doesn't
doesn't
like
take
take
as
out.
long.
He always
I've
has his girlfriend,
been
but he
pulled
hates
out a
it.
couple of times.
When we were in the New Orleans airport,
Um,
we were having
But I've
difficulty
been
with some
pulled
guy
out,
trying to
had
get
the
him to
whole
do his,
gunpowder
you know,
test.
thing.
Frisk
So she just opened the
you
line,
know,
like
they
20 of
they
us
just
just walked
pull
right in.
random people.
I was like,
And,
okay, I am.
I've
Claire
had
was a
one
baby, I
that
got pulled.
Was it TSA pre-check?
I'm not done.
No, 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 before.
You
Yeah.
can do your little check thing of it.
It's just like, I look at my wife, I go.
Well, my husband is, he still has that mindset of, he can carry. He travels a
I like
lot.
that.
He's getting better.
I mean, now
Because the last times that we
Otherwise, I
brought
was
it,
gonna
he
have
wasn't
a dog.
supposed to have.
My Rose.
The dog goes through.
Have you heard
He got
anything from my?
pulled.
She's
Yeah, Myra had a flat tire,
Fire
so she's on her
tire.
way to be here. So we will be welcoming and loving because she's dressed. But anyhow, he got pulled into the little road.
Oh.
And I walked away.
Yeah, so you
And
can't.
they're like,
you
"You
know,
want it?" I said, no, I don't want it.
Well, she's
I
already.
made the mistake of leaving, I had my little wallet, like my travel wallet, I had stuck it in my back pocket after I'd gone through the.
Right.
And they're like, so everybody's
My
like.
Jamie's in Orlando, so she-
Yeah,
Alaska.
So that was a fun, like,
Heard
we
amazing.
pat you down now.
yeah.
We guys
Well,
he walked
great.
away.
That's a
He
lot
went
of.
to pick Maggie
in
up,
fact,
but
he's
he
going
parked
back
to went in.
Guatemala,
Yeah.
Where he's
And
been
he
down
said
there
you,
working.
you can kind of go into that
So
big
he
open
has a lot
area.
of tools. that he
Oh.
carries with him. And usually
It's
he
on
puts those in
Our
his
side of security, it
checkbook.
sounds like.
Well, he had one that
That's
he forgot about, so he just started staring. I said, you can't do this. You can't,
Yeah.
you
Oh, yeah.
can't put. a-
Can't bring a wrench or a hammer. They really don't like that on the.
And,
Like the.
so they had
the-
to take it
the retro.
and, ship it to him.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
He does
Yeah.
a new one because his.
Well, otherwise.
I had a
it's gonna
little
be
tiny
for me.
Leatherman tool one time, so I forgot about it in my
Wow.
purse, so.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, my parents had dropped us off, and then they were like, well, we can mail it to, you know, we can ship it to you.
Right.
I was like,
Right.
don't worry about it.
Right.
Where the first
We're
time.
gonna go get on a flight, I don't
Yeah.
have time to.
Yeah.
Fill out all the paperwork.
The mill was just like.
Yeah, my mom had so much. She grabbed her area too.
Yeah, cause you.
Yeah, she didn't throw 'em out.
We sell, small
My,
scissors that I verify.
Brother-in-law's dad
So that people can
was like the project
you know,
manager,
fold it scissors
Okay.
stuff like
working
that.
out the carpet.
They're the
Did you get a little
blade.
piece?
I did
Yeah.
not, cause I'm like,
Frosted.
it's carpet, you know, I'm not.
People were bringing it, putting it on, it was like a whole thing.
And it's like, really?
It's been the life of it. They sold a lot of.
Uh-huh, like, they probably made more money off of that carpet.
Years old.
Yeah, the-
He was literally.
What I say, you make, how they make money on it.
Souvenir in his backpack, so,
Right,
and then he
right.
had spent, we're like, what?
It's like it's a rock.
They made a little souvenir, we didn't know it was.
That was like when we were in San Diego, I found a rock in my pocket for my daughter, for the tea in my coat pocket, I was like, why do I mean, I must have.
Oh my gosh.
I
reached that age where you put your whole attention on it.
Yeah. Well, one, I could have been fine, but 80.
So she should be
I
here.
was feeling.
Okay.
I think it's because of the height of my counter, like how my pulse went. It was bad, like I changed my back. Permanently. It's recovered.
What?
It's killing
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have. We're not going anywhere.
We don't have enough time to like go
And
explore.
Hey, Myra.
Good morning, good morning.
Welcome.
Good to Multnomah Falls.
I was
It's a little
just
rainy,
saying that.
but
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
it's a very big tourist attraction, you don't have to pay for the little pass anymore, because we're out of the. I know, I gotta do my peak season.
You just get this.
I left. Oh, you can't drag over, it starts to bitch.
But after the article of like how bad Star Street
Yeah.
Bridge, was, I'm like.
No, they're showing the pictures, I'm like, why have I been driving over that bridge?
Like holes in this bridge, I'm like.
I do.
And they've never noticed the big old holes in the bridge before.
There's also the story clearly that goes out, so I don't know if I, but very narrow. It's the somebody.
Well, yeah.
Like, in my big car, I literally, I'll just wait. I'll just wait up, like, how bad.
One of the trainers.
Someone get the car, you're gonna get one of these, because it's like. People know I'm playing then.
I gotta remind you.
Okay.
Like, did you get one of these handouts?
No.
They're, well, they were all back to virus, so I don't think Polly got.
I got one.
Well, oh, did you
I
get
did,
it?
yeah, they're on the table.
Oh, it's, okay.
Everybody gets one of those and one of these.
Oh, I've got one of those. Okay, I don't have.
Server got the planning meeting, sticker. Yep.
And this. Yeah. Two documents,
Oh,
two staples.
Oh, sorry.
Oh. So are we ready?
Yeah.
Of course, we're ready.
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, are you good, Myra? Do you wanna grab snacks, coffee? Will you-
Oh, I'll have coffee. I'll grab something else.
Okay, so do I.
We don't wanna push you in.
The agenda.
So you, yeah, call to order.
Where is it? Is it? Hey, dogs. I know what's there.
Anybody want coffee while I'm over here?
No, thank you.
Sessions got my folder or a roll call. Yep. There we go. Okay. All right, good morning. Welcome to the Gresham-Barlow Board of Education Special Work Session on Saturday, October 19th. Call to order. Roll call. We have in attendance Chris Howlett, Kathy Keithley, Myra Gomez, David Ligatich, Sean Ferens, Polly Riegelman, and Blake Peterson. We show a quorum. We show all the board members here this evening, or this morning. Morning. Wow, it's morning.
Hard to believe that.
I do need a motion to approve the meeting agenda. I don't know of any other changes. We're here today to do the superintendent search planning. So with that, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
second.
So it's been moved by Myra, seconded by David to approve the meeting agenda as presented. Any
Chris.
discussion?
Do we need to officially add the conversation about approving the interim process at the end of this meeting?
Yes, we do.
So before we take action on that,
Okay, so make a
So you're
motion.
proposing an
You make a
amendment.
I will.
Okay, I didn't have that written down, sorry. Pardon
It
me?
was moved and
No, you can just
No, we
amend
can-
it.
We'll just amend it. We haven't voted.
So I move to amend the agenda to include a discussion about the interim superintendent search.
Second.
Okay, so a motion's been made to add an item to the agenda. Conversation about the interim search process. All those in favor of adding that item to the agenda? Aye. Any opposed? No. So the agenda now has been modified. We have the original items that are on the agenda. And we have the approved interim search process added as well that will be done at the end of this meeting. Any further discussion on that? Thank you for catching that, Kathy. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right. Okay. I'm gonna turn it over. Yeah.
All right, well, thank you for being on a Saturday morning. I know everyone is so busy and it's hard at night to try to get a date. And we should really get through this in about an hour and a half, 2 hours tops, but hopefully we can get through it in about an hour and a half. And the purpose of today is just to walk you through the search, walk you through the process. And then it's really important to get your calendars out. And as we kind of hone in on some of those dates for the first round interviews, final interviews, you'll know well in advance when those are. And that way once we get down to the actual interviews, they're already scheduled in your calendar. And so that's kind of the purpose of today. So we're gonna walk you through a number of items, the planning document, we're gonna just kind of go right through it. And we're gonna start with the board portal. So everyone should have access to the portal. And if you just click on that link, you should be able to get in, and Stacy's gonna walk you through the portal.
Okay, so I will be managing your portal. And it's arranged by the search phases. You'll see on the home. On the home screen are the documents that we have already done, and today we'll go through the timeline and pick up the dates. And then everything, the portal is so great, and we talked about this before, because it's your website for your search. You will not be receiving tons of emails. If you need anything, it should be in here. There are documents that will be updated as the search goes on. You'll see the board updates Zoom link document. On that document, the first one will be weekly updates. So that's for you to go in and see what everyone's been working on behind the scenes.
Do you want me to open any of these things?
Um,
Or do you want to just talk through all of them?
If, what do you think?
We don't need to.
We don't.
Yeah, I don't wanna, the
Just
only.
didn't want to like, oh, should I be clicking?
No, and then, like you'll see, the position posting will be finalized today. It's draft. I'll change it when things are finalized. So these are all working documents. You should, has anyone logged into the portal yet? Have you been able, okay, is everyone able to get in?
Yeah.
Mine
Okay,
actually says I don't have access to a document.
okay. And we'll
I
fix,
just clicked on one, I don't even know, the position draft. I mean, mine doesn't show pictures, which they're not loading, it looks like, but
Okay.
when I clicked on it, it says I need to switch an account.
So you
Okay.
need to do it from your board email?
It's my board email, yeah.
okay. Can you refresh, and see if that helps? If not, I'll help you get in.
I don't have anything else to see.
This one did open actually.
Mine, the note was.
Okay, I'll make sure that everything-
Yeah, from Stacy Ritchie,
It
or
was
you could
the- I
look
think it
up,
was,
Planning summary.
Position posting was the one that it didn't
Okay.
open.
I don't have anything else to see.
So right now,
SPACY.
It looks like the internet.
And this is your
RICH.
GBSD, right?
Yeah.
you can just forward her, just
I
forward
think it might be the
her,
internet, although it gave me a notification that I needed to switch.
or just forward her the email.
I'm in.
So I don't know why.
Oh, I'm in.
It was sent
You
out
don't have
to
access.
the board.
Are you able to get into that document?
I got to the, no, because it said you're unable.
Okay,
Yeah,
So I wonder if it's not shared.
So
Remember,
what
I just
document are we
forwarded
trying to
it
get
to
to
you.
that doesn't show up for
Well, the
everybody?
board update Zoom link I was able to open. The position posting.
Alright, so that one's.
Oh, you have to hit the little thing. Oh, you are.
That one.
There you
Oh, mine opens now.
There you go.
okay,
The internet maybe is
Okay.
okay.
the problem.
And it could, yeah.
Yeah, and if you ever have a
There we
problem,
go.
email me and I will.
I just did it, I did nothing different, but the second time it
Okay.
opened.
Sarah.
You said you sent it to me?
Somebody
Maybe
sent
it just
her.
had
I just
fully
forwarded
loaded or
it. It
something.
may take a minute, or you may have to refresh.
Okay.
So right now, the only people that have access to the portal, the full board and Sarah. Okay, and we can give anyone access that you think needs to have access, but remember, they're going to see everything about the search, including all the applicants and candidates. So that's why you have to use your school email. That's technically your password. So it looks like anyone can get in, they can't. It just, you can get in because you're attached to that.
Right,
Yeah.
and you've been given access, otherwise, people should not be able to get in. Can you click on the proposed tab? On the top, there's tabs on the top, home, propose, engage, recruit. So that is where those documents are, like, if you can click on, you don't need to open any of those are all things we've worked on so far.
Virtual presentation.
Yeah, and then engage, is the next tab. And that is where, after today, the focus group schedule will be a document in there, so you'll see everything that's planned. The survey summary, when that's all done, will be in there, and the profile report, and any other documents that come up during the process that need to be shared, we put in under that tab. Recruit, this is the important one you're gonna wanna check back on as the process goes. So that is where the resumes will be. Everyone's materials, their letters of recommendation, will be one PDF under their name as they come in. They come into Frontline and I will download them and put them in one document and upload them as they come in. So you'll see everything.
So you have 24/7 access to look at all the candidates. So once we open the position up, which will be this week, it'll get posted. Don't panic when you see 1 week has gone by, 2 weeks have gone by and there's no applicants. Everybody tends to apply at the very end of the posting. Okay, it makes our job more difficult, but they don't want their name out there. They don't want their current district or the current employer to know that they're applying for jobs, and they don't want anything out there about them applying. So they all tend, for the most part, especially the ones that are pretty good, wait till the very end. So just want to throw that out there.
And you'll also see in there, it says HYA posting. That is our website posting. If you click on that, it'll link you right to the posting and any other advertising you choose today. Once it is live, online, I will post a link to that so you can check and make sure, see that these are live postings and that it is being advertised in all of these places. Whatever you choose. And then, select is the next tab. And this is your timeline. If you scroll down just a little bit on that one, as those documents are created, the candidates, the schedule, this is where everything throughout the process will be posted. Day in the district, finalists, when you get down to your top 3 finalists, I'll create a QR code that people will be able, when you do your, what are we, like meet and greets? We'll do like a Google survey and create a QR code that anyone that's meeting your candidates can provide feedback. And those will be in your portal, so you can see what people's opinions are. And it'll be simple. They'll be simple questions. Strengths, weaknesses, would you like, that kind of thing. And we'll create all that as the search goes on, but that's where you'll find the candidate feedback, and anything that's involved with the interview process is under there. And then that's about it. The transition is another, that's what HYA offers after the rest.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, if you have any questions on the portal, if you ever have problems getting in, just email me or Sarah, and you can get a hold of me and I will make sure that you're able to access everything.
So any questions on the portal? Boards tend to really like the portal and just make us like. So, especially when you start looking at the applications, the candidates, you've got one click and you've got one person and they're all strung together. So, the Zoom link underneath the portal, we always create one Zoom link for every search. So this will be the Gresham-Barlow Zoom link. So we'll do like focus groups, we'll do in person and virtual as well. And so that will be the Zoom link that we'll post on your website and get posted with the other virtual focus groups that we do. So Brian, we forgot to let you jump in and say hi too. So I apologize for that. So Brian
Good
is
morning,
sitting. So
We're all good.
So you want to give a recap before we go any further about, your interviews or where you are with everything?
Yeah, sure. So the first part of the process is for an HYA associate, myself, is to interview all the board members and just basically ask some very high level essential questions. I have completed all the board member interviews. Those went great. I appreciated all you giving me, 30 or 45 minutes of your time to just ground me. And then I share that information with Mike as to what's going on in the district, the challenges that you face, the points of pride. And I've already begun to develop a list of actually candidates that may be interested and are qualified for this particular position. I've also completed almost all the senior staff interviews. I think Sarah is the only one I have left. And that's on the 23rd. And those 2 have gone very well. Certainly there's very diverse opinions on the board and diverse opinions among staff around a variety of issues. And many of those things will come out in the leadership report. But as far as I'm concerned, the interviews have been incredibly valuable to me to understand the nuances of Gresham-Barlow School District and what we're, entering into as far as a superintendent search and some of those challenges that we're going to face during focus groups as well. So it's all going very well, perfectly, actually.
Thank you. Then you can see in that planning document, as we go down, we have all the board members' school emails. So the one question that I guess I have at this point is, normally I have a board contact person. Normally it would be the board president. I know Kathy's been like the chair of the search committee, I believe is what we title. How do you want me to move forward? Do you want me to contact Kathy? Both Kathy and Chris, just Chris? And it's gonna be very few contacts now once the search starts, but a question might come up where I need to talk to a board member. So it's up to
Both of us.
both. Okay. All right. So if I do have to email, I will make sure you're
Okay.
both included. And a lot of times we do CC, like Sarah as well, just because.
That would be great.
Yeah, that's usually who keeps everything on task with the search
she does.
from the district. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, good, perfect, thank you. And then we list some of the other key personnel from the district. They don't have access to the portal. It's just that we have to reach out to some of these people at sometimes too. And I know Brian is going to interview some of these as well, cabinet people or direct reports to the superintendent. But we do work closely with your webmaster, your communication person, as we start putting things onto your website and trying to get the word out. So as we set focus groups up, what becomes really important is to get the word out, to really push. And that usually comes from your communications person or from your district office or someone who has access to being able to get the word out as well.
And we'll provide samples to that person of what other districts have done, that what works well, and any other materials that need to be created, we could do that too, and then share that with your communications and your website and help them build that along the way.
Then you can see your search team. Probably the main three people you'll be working with will be myself, Brian, and Stacy. But you will also maybe have some contact with the other two as the search goes on, or you'll see them involved. They're more behind the scenes, back in the back office, but they will be part of the search team as well. So that is your search team. On number 4 on the agenda, we already have the letter of agreement contract is signed, and that's in your portal. And then another nice thing about the portal too is when you go to that tab where it has like the contract, the presentation, the proposal. If you ever say, well, what was in their proposal? What's included? You can go back to that and look and see what was in there, and it's just easy to find. The confidentiality is always a big piece. And so we just remind boards that especially as applications come in, please don't share with anyone, who's applied, who's not applied. There's a couple things that will really have a search go in the wrong direction. So the first questions that we get when people apply for the search, they're going to ask us, are there any internal candidates? That they always ask that question. And then they're going to ask, when did my name become public? Because they really want to make sure that it's confidential until the names do need to be released or shared with the public. And obviously, if they're finalists, they know that their names and probably their resumes are going to get posted on your website as well. And they're prepared for that. But if their names leak out prior to when we have to release them, and every state is different, we have to. They don't like that, and they will drop out as well if things are leaked out. So we want to be very, very careful and respect that confidentiality. So the number 7, Brian has already completed all the board interviews, so we're in great shape with that. And we're going to spend a little time on number 8, focus groups. So again, for today, we don't try to pick the dates for the focus groups. We work with Sarah on that and other district people as well, like high school principals, for example. What we want to do today is we want to brainstorm for a little bit to see what ideas you have as far as what groups we should be setting up these focus groups with. And Brian, you want to jump in here too and talk about what you heard, one of the things you heard when you just.
Yeah, I think I heard from individual board members and from senior staff that we really need to be cautious and careful to hear voices from both groups in Gresham that kind of represent the Gresham High School feeder, if you will, but also out in Barlow. In that whatever we do in Gresham, we should replicate that same sort of focus group structure in the Barlow area as well, so that every single stakeholder group from both different segments of the community can be heard. It doesn't mean that people can't cross over and join different focus groups, but we want to make sure that everyone has easy access in their neighborhood or in their area of the district, so that they can say, I had a voice here. These focus groups are incredibly safe for people because Mike and I facilitate them. The board doesn't facilitate, senior staff doesn't facilitate, principals don't facilitate. We actually are there, and the information that we glean from these focus groups is just incredibly powerful, not just for this process, but also for the board to examine after the fact to say, here's what our community said, and it's pretty much unfiltered about our district, about the direction of the district, about our points of pride, and also our challenges, which every district has. So that's really was crystal clear from everyone that I've talked to, that we need to make sure that all stakeholders have opportunity to access these focus groups.
Okay, thank you. And then you can see from the questions that we asked, and we asked the same questions in all focus groups. What are the strengths of the district? What are those challenges, or what needs to be improved across the district? And then what characteristics are you looking for in that next superintendent? The report we put together is very thorough. You're going to get a lot of good information in that report. We actually presented at a board meeting in open session, and then we put that report on your website and on our website. The candidates will go through the report, they'll look at it. They tend to go right to the section where it talks about the challenges, that they want to see what they would be walking into. And it becomes a great roadmap or tool for the new superintendent to be able to look and kind of guide that person through the first couple of years of superintendency. So here's where we need some help coming up with so what you see on page 4 of the planning notes. Those are just some ideas of typically what we have done in districts. And you'll see where it says parents and community, it's multiple times, because we will do multiple parent and community focus groups. So back up prior to COVID, we only did in-person focus groups. COVID hit, we only did virtual focus groups. Now, post-COVID, we do a mixture. We do both. So what we found during COVID is we had great participation with virtual. And so it's just easy, especially the bigger the district, especially like for staff, for example, when you've got 15, 20 buildings, it's just easy for staff to stay in their building at their desk, use their computer, and just participate in the focus group. But we still give staff the opportunity to do a live one, in-person one, but it's just the convenience. Parents as well. We'll do a Sunday night focus group for community and parents. They tend to like those types of times. So we'll set all that up. But what groups do you feel it's really important that we hit with focus groups that might not be on this list? And we typically do about 20 focus groups across the district, and we'll do more if we identify more, but typically anywhere from that 15 to 25 is about average. And the more we offer to, sometimes we don't get a great turnout. So if we give parents like 5 opportunities, they tend to, some might be no one or 2 people, one might have 20 people. So there's a sense of, we don't want to do the overkill as well, but we want to make sure we give everyone the opportunities they need to participate.
Not too many to where there isn't a sense of urgency.
Correct. Correct.
So are we proposing now, or?
Yeah, you just want to throw some groups out there, some names out there. You want
I have a clarification question. When you say like certified staff and teachers in the focus group, is it, I don't know pros and cons of either, but do you focus on teachers and staff from one high school first to get the general sense of that school, or do you have it broad to all schools?
Typically it's broad. So
Okay.
what we do is in the report, we're going to break this report down by section. So one section will be the board. For the board, so basically, what the board feels the strengths are, the challenges are, what characteristics you're looking for. Another section will be staff. We can break that down by support staff and certified staff. As well, if we have we look for common themes. So if we have really different themes, we can break that down by support staff and certified staff. And then parents would be one, separate one as well, and then community would be a separate one as well. And then the best one is the students. So the students get their own section as well.
And, you know, I'm fine if people disagree with me, but I would say that, because Barlow and Gresham are pretty different, I would have a Barlow focused staff meeting, Barlow focused student, you know, like the feeder schools and all that. And then
Okay.
Gresham separate, because you'll probably get two different
Stories.
And then make
stories.
sure you hit Springwater Trail.
Well, and Springwater Trail too, so like maybe a.
So there's two, I'm not, I don't, I mean, I can be persuaded too, but the issue is twofold. One is we have rural and urban.
Yep.
And it's pretty distinct. I mean, it is close, but far enough away to where that is the essence of the schools. But in addition to that, we have a particular situation at Gresham. And I just worry that, I mean, and you said you're looking for common themes, but I don't want the particular concerns about one high school to override
Yeah.
conversations from the other one.
Or
So
to be overshadowed by the other.
Overshadowed.
Which
So-
is why I think having
Well,
two different ones would be.
And so however, the best approach is to make sure that doesn't happen. If it's separated, great. If there's a better way to do it, I'm all ears.
Well, and when we're talking about the community groups, being Gresham or Barlow, we're talking about the broad. It's
Yeah.
not just Gresham High School, it's not just
Yeah.
Barlow High School, it's the whole feeder schools.
Yeah.
And so I think, that they would be able to make sure the questions stay on task and the conversation. I'm not as concerned about having it be that different. Springwater, I don't know that I would pull a separate Springwater out, only because they.
No, I just want to make sure voices are included.
Yes. The only other thing actually that I was looking at, we refer to our teachers as licensed staff.
Okay.
And our non-licensed staff are class.
Okay.
So, yeah, support staff doesn't feel good to me.
No,
So
that's a good point.
classified employees.
I say we have a huge, small and medium business, presence in Gresham.
Mhm.
And I really think, you would get a lot of good feedback from those business owners.
Is it a chamber?
We have an
Yeah,
active.
business
Yeah.
chamber, we have Gresham Chamber,
Really active chamber.
very active.
Okay,
Yeah, we usually have 120 people at the meetings.
perfect.
As it relates to student or parent and community member engagement. I know Highland. I'm just trying to think of how to strategize reaching deep into our community and folks who usually wouldn't attend a folks group. I feel like Highland has done a really good job at getting their community engaged in their schools. So I think as you do the building principle, maybe engagement, I think some good strategies would come from that is just kind of where I'm leaning, and I'm trying to think of other schools that do it really.
Is Highland the one that has the 60% Spanish and English dual language?
They have a dual.
Well, they have the DLI.
Yes, okay,
They have
I was just there last week.
many languages spoken at home, and I feel like when you go to their community
They're
events,
well
they've just done a really good job
Yes.
of connecting with diverse communities.
I can't remember, I think it was the north that I was
But
at.
again, it wouldn't necessarily be, it would be making sure that the voices are heard, but not just so that you're hearing it.
Right.
We're not asking for a separate elementary school. focus
No,
group.
no,
I-
it's
I'm
just all.
honestly saying, talk to the principal to help us
To
know
get
how
the
to.
idea,
engage
engagement.
community.
Yes, yeah,
That's what I wanted.
That's a huge
Okay.
part of our community is
yeah.
that class.
We have a diverse district, as you point out, across
Urban,
grades,
rural.
but our K to 5 is more diverse than, like, as far as I've seen numbers, does that resonate with you too, Mark? Yeah, so like K5 is gonna be more diverse, so accessing those parent voices that are gonna be in this district for another decade is significant, so.
And they might already have, the district might already have key state communicators meetings scheduled, and they have regular attenders if you don't want to schedule another meeting,
Okay.
that may be an option.
What's it, what's it called?
Communicators
Okay.
meeting, and that is well attended.
That's what.
Yeah.
Like, I know we've already had a couple. On the next one.
Yeah, Highland, they actually take a lot of the
So the
diversity
key communicators
students
might be
from
two.
entire. and they-
Oh, we got
they
two
plus
more
them in
next
there
week.
because they're more
One on
comfortable
30th, one on
speaking
the
the dual language there, as if they were at another school.
5th. Yeah, the
visit back
Spanish
home.
one on the 30th.
Oh, is that true?
That's probably.
And it's not the principal that organizes that, it's actually staff of
wow.
family liaisons who reach out to families
Okay.
in the languages that the families speak.
Okay.
So they would be people that would help you reach out to families
Great.
who don't speak English.
Yes, and this is exactly why we need these names now, and then we work with Sarah or someone in the district to get those, get them set up.
That does seem like a potential, although I'm trying to think of the org chart. Seems like a potential missing other district contact would be our selling. I don't know.
The family liaison, yeah,
Other admin or district.
a multilingual, or what is she now,
I don't remember it either.
Does
But she
she
runs
like
our
director?
newcomers-
Yeah, like director of
newcomers
dual
program
language
is
and
under her.
multilingual.
yes.
So he would be under the other administrative directors.
Yeah.
But specifically ourselves.
But I think
Other city, thank you.
Same for yes.
Fine.
I don't think it's really to add.
Okay.
We'll find out.
Yeah, the name.
it's like multilingual.
Perfect.
Director of multilingual programs, CND.
Yeah, like it's kind of long.
It's all,
And,
yes.
and skipping ahead at the languages, I think Araceli would probably have the best, like. grasp
Idea
on,
what
like,
other
the
languages we need,
Okay.
yeah.
Other languages.
Director.
Pretty sure we need Russian.
Thank you.
Is her, is it in here? Is it?
Yeah, the different-
Okay. Okay, yeah, she's good. That person will be key for us to actually meet with and we'll do a separate, like a Zoom meeting with her to get everything out and organized. So the other question I have too is, and we talked about businesses. So as we walked in, I had no idea you had a shared district office with the city council. Would that be some in the police department right here? Would that be a typical, I mean, would it be worth meeting with or focus group, city council, police department and
The mayor.
very easy, the mayor?
Yeah.
It'd be very easy and convenient, but then if we do it here, you know, we should do it in both communities.
Well, actually,
There is.
Gresham is the only
yeah.
municipal
Yeah.
part, of Clackamas County.
Clackamas County.
Yeah. I wouldn't.
I mean,
The county level's too broad.
So just here?
We should
Yeah. 'cause
we
then
could
we do multiple
consider,
language.
but I'm not convinced of that
Okay,
right
Don't
now.
know.
Yeah. I'd rather hear more what are more closer connected families,
Well,
staff
and the thing is, a lot of those people
are.
are going to be brought in because they're parents or because they're
Yeah.
okay.
community
Yeah.
members anyways.
That's a
So,
good question, but I would personally pass on that.
Focus on what we just talked about. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Businesses.
and like I said, they'll have
Families,
opportunities
okay.
as.
All right.
Mhm.
That's what we're gonna talk to. Yeah, we're gonna get the languages that we need to do the focus groups in, because a lot of times there might be like a center or someplace we can go as well, where they're more comfortable, but again, this person would know if there's any group or like a resource center for families or the multi languages. Is that
Between her and
something?
Dawn Hoya Jackson, they would probably director of student engagement, she would know our partners.
And that becomes critical for the survey as well. What languages do you want that survey? What we're gonna come to that in a second, but what languages do you want that survey to go out in?
I would trust Araceli and Don
Perfect,
provide that.
perfect. So any other suggestions for focus groups? And this is really good information to hear from the full board, to focus on the schools, the staff, the students, the people really involved with the district. And just so I'm clear on when we put this report together, you want us to separate out the staffs from Gresham, from Barlow, and the students.
Well, the feeders in aggression
Yep.
and then the feeders in the bar.
Yep.
Cause you're gonna get
And-
probably two different,
And if someone, you know, their timing, their schedule works
Yeah.
where they wanna go to a different one, it is still the Gresham-Barlow School
Correct.
District. However, I think more even what I was thinking of is that you don't have all the meetings here,
Right,
that we have some, whether it's using Barlow High School or but having it actually in that feeder area.
yep, and one of the things that Brian
Is that
already kind of talked about too was, and here this, in his interviews, is like, if we do, 24 focus group, let's do 12 here and 12 there as well. Or if we do 2 in one high school, we do 2 in the other high school. We make sure they're even.
And doing one so I'm assuming then some would be done in some of the wherever.
well,
we
yeah,
have the space.
yeah, anything,
Yeah,
when we say
middle
Gresham
school,
Barlow,
yeah.
we're saying
Right.
any elementary through high school. The
Yeah.
high school obviously is gonna have the most space,
But they may not have the most availability if it's
True.
booked up,
cause you got
It-
everything.
every other activities going on.
Activities, yeah.
It is nice too, when we do staff focus groups, if we can break it up, elementary, middle school, high school, because they all have different
Yeah.
ideas and thoughts. So, good. Okay, any other questions on the focus groups? So, no, so so once we get this, probably one of the two most urgent things with the search will be the job posting and then getting these focus groups scheduled. And because you wanna have time to be able to advertise and it's easy for staff and parents, because we can email staff and parents and students as well. And so for the student group, we normally talk to the high school principal or the counselor, and we have them help select the group, and we want a diverse group of students. We don't want all your A students. We want a really diverse group of students. Your athletes, your non-athletes, your people in the fine arts, your at-risk students. We want a good group, a good mix of students. So we work with the high school principal, counselor.
I would work with Dawn, not with the.
Okay,
Yeah.
Dawn,
Dawn is
Dawn,
what's been
yeah,
doing that.
and she's
Yeah.
been doing that anyway, yeah, the last
Okay.
couple of years.
good.
If I might interrupt, I also spoke to Donna and she has a really good handle on the need for us to have diverse voices. And sometimes principals don't always choose an incredibly diverse population for us to talk to. So I think that would be a good choice.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add is, I'd still, Dawn obviously has the pulse of it in a better way, but I don't want to exclude the principal either from having, at least talking to them, and I just don't want to have them be excluded from the question.
Right, and we wanna make sure we set these up, we're not hitting a testing day, or we're not,
Right.
it's a day where, right.
Or the counselors.
From a marketing standpoint. Barlow Gresham football games on November
I
1st.
was just about to say,
That's
and
where
is it at Barlow or at Gresham?
it's that Gresham.
So we have to be-
So just from a marketing standpoint, I wouldn't run a focus group there.
Well, last year. I
We
was
have it
able to-
printed.
Well, that's funny.
Yeah, so it'd be great if we're able to have a tent with some laptops or whatever, because we've done that at other Barlow Gresham, like basketball games and stuff.
Basketball, yeah, we did.
So if you're able to get it published and running by 6 o'clock Pacific time on November 1st, that would be probably the biggest swath of people that we could gather in one location.
And it'll be here, it alternates, the playing Gresham and Barlow alternates
Okay,
between Barlow one
Well,
year.
some more
and-
specifics.
So it's at Gresham this year,
okay,
and it is the big game.
Yeah, but if you've ever done superintendent search in Texas or
It's not
Or
that
you're
big.
upstate.
It's not that big.
It's very.
yeah,
Big is relative.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's big for us.
They're gonna
Small
fall.
for the other.
Yeah.
So you're saying just to get the word out, I think, the schedule out.
No,
I think,
you can,
No,
that's
you can
survey.
get,
Survey.
you can have a
The
survey,
survey,
yeah, if you can have something that people can give you a quick feedback, couple of laptops.
Yeah,
out
this-
there.
yeah, we can,
Yeah.
depending on the number of languages we pick for the survey will be done by then.
Well, and then the other thing for students is they do surveys in their advisory class, and so I don't know if that's too many voices, if you want to have all of them, but there could be a survey done in their advisory class. That would be every student at the high school.
Yeah, so that
We
is,
also have middle school.
So the survey, we normally encourage high school students to take the survey. And we do send the link out to the students, but it works much, much better if it is in a controlled environment, like you just said. Otherwise, if some of the schools just send a survey out to students and say, take the survey, they're not gonna take the survey. But if it's in a controlled, specific time, we just have to watch our server, because when we do this, it kind of, our server doesn't like it, so we have to make sure it's spread out on different days. Yep. But great idea.
I don't know the schedule. Do they meet in advisory every day, twice a
No.
week?
Once a week.
Once a week?
Well,
Okay.
high school, middle school.
Middle
different,
school,
so
yeah, I was like,
depends.
middle school
Well-
is every day but Wednesday.
Yeah, middle school 4 days, high school only 1 day.
Okay.
So it could be spread out.
And Gresham, I don't know if Gresham-Barlow advisory days are different or the same, do you know?
That I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I know Barlow.
Yeah, schedule.
But
Monday.
But yeah, the middle schools, that'd be cool to get the middle schools
Well,
survey.
those could be on a different day than high school.
It'll be open for at least 2 weeks,
Yeah.
once it's live, so.
Okay.
they should be able to-
Does your survey like, does it average everything out, or do you have to actually read through every single one?
No, we can pick up the 6 subgroups for the survey, and so you'll be able to see the student. We compare it to the staff or the parents, so you don't have to read, only the comments, you would have to read through all the comments. But
Do you
it's by
do-
section, the comments are by section.
Do you thing those comments out so we don't have to see all 500 of them, or?
We don't.
The leadership report,
But the leadership report will
Okay.
hone in on the common themes.
And students broadly is one subgroup. Is that
Correct.
right?
So
Okay.
you can do middle school and high school separately.
Or
But-
Barlow or Gresham, right, is.
Yeah, I'm more worried about the middle school, the high school, because I think it's, I want to hear the student voice. I think it's hard enough for a 14-year-old to understand what a superintendent does and provide comments that are pertinent.
Mhm.
I have 15 and 13-year-olds at home, so I feel confident saying that. But in middle school, I also have an 11-year-old, 9-year-old, less confident that they will be able to,
We,
9-year-old is elementary school.
right, I'm saying in my own
He
home.
just has.
Right, right,
I'm just saying, I have
Yeah.
a generally stair-step perspective
Yeah.
of student engagement and understanding of what a superintendent might.
Although I will say that when we last did a survey with our last superintendent hire, one of the things that the students focused on was the quality of the food in the cafeteria.
Mhm.
They didn't really know what the superintendent did.
Right.
But that was a platform for them to tell us, hey, you know what, we don't like the food, we don't like what's offered, it's not diverse enough, it's not what we want. So we actually pulled that out as a separate thing, and that moved us on towards doing something different with our food
Nutrition
service
services
programs, with
change,
our
yeah.
nutrition services. So we did learn something from it, it wasn't really specific
like
to
a
the
little-
superintendent search, but it was very interesting information that the students chose that as an important thing to tell us.
Yeah.
So little nuggets come out sometimes.
sure,
I think it would be cool if we're able to separate it out between Gresham and Barlow feeders, just to see what the different perspectives are. And of course, we could always combine our own line, like, okay, this is a general theme. But
so you can, but you get to pick 6 subgroups. So typically the subgroups that we would do is licensed staff, classified staff, administrators/directors would be number 3. Students is number 4. Parents of students attending schools 5, and then community members would be 6. So you would have to, if you wanted to separate the students out, you would have to tell me what other group you would want to eliminate. So you could eliminate the administrators/directors if you wanted to. And they could participate with the licensed staff. They could take the survey, but they would be considered licensed staff.
oh, I just was thinking you could just have a question, which high school do you feed into or
On
attend
the survey,
on the survey? So it would still be students. It'd just be,
But then it has to be sort
on
of-
the comment we would see.
Yeah, we can't do that with this research-based survey. The only other thing we could do is we could do a separate Google survey for just the high school
For just
students.
students, we can create a Google survey, we've done that. And then they're able to Would they also have the survey though?
No,
Just the Google
Just the Google
survey to
survey.
get their input, and that we can create anything
Yep.
you want.
that would be a
We can
better way
ask-
of doing
We
it.
can separate anything you want on that, and they would be able to.
Well, I don't wanna mess up like the research.
It won't, it won't. The only thing on the research-based one, then you would not have the students. But you will get a lot of really good information from the students on the Google survey that we have.
And then we can be specific on, are you a, what high school do you attend?
Grade,
What grade are you in? We can range
Yep.
it, and that would give you specific student.
I think
voice.
that would be good, and they're really familiar with Google surveys.
Mhm.
you will get a lot more information if we do what we just said, especially at the end. If you want the difference between the two communities, the two the viewpoints of the students, I think that'd be a better way of going. And because the research-based survey that we do is more of the leadership style, it talks about as far as what those strengths are across the district, and we can get all of that from the students in the Google survey as well.
The only thing with the Google survey is we'd have to look into, we wouldn't be able to offer multiple languages.
Right.
Possibly.
We just did a Google survey that had
Yeah.
English, Spanish, and Russian
But this,
translation.
this
on the
person
same
might be able to,
survey.
yeah,
This person,
So somebody in
There's
the
a, there's
district knows
a
how.
button you could push.
Okay.
But
okay,
Well, and it listed it in, it was for the safety summit.
Yeah.
The survey that went out, if you were attending the safety summit, it was like English/Spanish/Russian,
Spanish, okay.
all on the same form. So you could just read whichever one
Excellent,
you
okay.
understood and then answer. So I don't know how to do that on the Google form,
We'll find
but the
out.
district does. Somebody,
we'll work with you.
yes.
whoever made the safety summit survey.
Perfect, good.
Okay.
You'll get a lot of good information. So with that said, we're going to take the students off of the HYA survey. Do you want to add another subgroup? Because you can do up to 6. You could leave it at 5, or you could do up to 6. So right now we've got, again, licensed staff, classified staff, administrators/directors, parents of students attending school, and then community members. So you could add one more if you wanted to.
Sorry, I was listening and reading at the same time. Where are the business leader and civic groups at? That's a
Community members.
community member.
Community member. We could
should
put,
separate that out.
You could separate it, yeah.
Can.
And
You'll
I
get a
was
lot
kind of
of
would
strong
because
information from
community,
the
so
business
I'm thinking
side.
back in the days when my mother used to fill
Yeah.
these out. She was not a business leader. She was not in a civic group, but she was a community member.
Yeah.
So I think that's a different viewpoint.
Well, parents, community members.
Yeah.
But my mom wasn't a parent at that
No,
time.
parents and community members are different for the
There's parents of students.
subset.
No, right, but I'm just saying, I thought somebody was connecting business leaders and community members. I
For
thought-
the survey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we could separate it if we wanted.
Yeah,
Because we took students out, we're gonna do the Google, we have an extra.
I think that's a good
Maybe
idea.
separate it.
Yeah.
So
We
it's
will, we will.
separate.
Yeah.
So
We got it.
one.
So I do think we have a number of people that fall into that community member group that are not the business, they're not, but they're connected to the schools. and
And the business
A
leaders.
lot of them
don't
are
necessarily-
grandparents or.
or somebody in that verse.
Somewhat, but they may
In
not. live
terms
in
of
the district.
community groups, just to make one stand out is the Gresham-Barlow Education Foundation. We have an education foundation
Okay.
connected to Gresham-Barlow. That'll be in the community group, but it is,
In the
And
business-
in the
Is that the
parent group, and in the
civic-
business
the
group.
business group,
Yeah.
the civic
Go-
group, or whatever. we
Yeah.
call it,
Most of them are.
And then like for the business group, civic group, we could, chances are your chamber is gonna have all the emails to
Yeah,
businesses,
they do.
and then we'll work with the chamber to send the survey link out to those groups.
And we are members of the chambers here. so we
Okay.
should have access.
Okay.
Perfect. And then we're gonna, on the languages, we're gonna work with the person you mentioned as far as what languages for the survey.
I mean, for sure, Russian would be the third. I'm
Yeah.
assuming. But then arts.
Okay,
I was weird, I was looking at the student demographics
Yeah.
and I don't see any. Gresham McQueen up on there.
Oh, that's just the state demographics that they break, the state doesn't break it down into like, this is
This is the state, not the
the
city.
state.
Oh, okay.
And they would fall under white.
They would fall under white.
Yeah, yeah, yep. Because they don't separate them by language necessarily and demographic.
That means I'm gay.
Well, a lot of times I'll do it and too.
Yeah.
Really?
Because
Because
you
race
have to
and
ask,
ethnicity are
like,
different.
there's the Latino, Hispanic, but non-white is another subgroup.
So I can count as white, I don't get the white privilege.
You should be able to read the languages. Yeah.
Yes.
It's when you start getting into some of those other
We go
languages.
one district, but we're doing the Milwaukee search, and they did 12 languages, so it's, yeah. That makes it takes them a while to put the survey, but we'll get this out, no problem by the first.
What, each language incurs more cost and more time for the
So,
district. for the survey.
Great question. So English and Spanish is included, okay, and then it's $415 per language.
I think it's worth it, honestly.
I,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think, yeah, what I'm wondering if it's productive for the board to kind of say, let RSLE let you know what languages are critical.
I agree with that.
And then, you know, we just know we've got a buffer. I'd probably cap it. Five languages or,
Yeah.
I don't know, what do you think would be appropriate?
Five
Myra,
additional English and Spanish or five total?
But,
Five additional.
Five additional,
Five additional would be a lot of.
yeah, I think 3 additional, 5
I
total.
was
Well, it's like
thinking
five
that's where I
additional to
was,
English
yeah.
and Spanish, or I guess
Well,
seven
I think there's
total?
some sensitivity about Russian or Ukrainian.
Yes.
I think, and
Yeah.
a lot of our newcomers are Ukrainian.
Yeah.
And so I want to be sensitive to that. I think Araceli would be most qualified to weigh in.
Yes, she would know.
I think we do have Arabic speakers.
She will also know the participation level.
Yeah.
And that's critical for her to give us input on, okay, if we do it in this language, you think you're gonna get 25, 50 responses, or are you gonna get 2 or 3 responses? And that, so we wanna watch that too.
That'd be great. So
Yeah.
maybe if we get past 3 additional languages, that's when you call our designated leadership and you guys make the authorization of whether we go deeper.
And there may be where there are some students' families that have 2 languages that they would be comfortable doing it in English.
Well, and then another question, if there's a Google form that students are using already, maybe that's a Google form that Araceli could
Oh,
use with any other languages in addition to that 5 that she thinks,
Good
I
point.
know this family would fill it out, I know this, but maybe they're not one of those 5 languages. She might be able to help assist them in doing that survey if she has access to that Google form, because she already has relationships, or the family liaisons with some of those people, they might be able to assist in doing some of those surveys with families who don't speak a language that's in those 5, maybe.
In terms of that direction, would that need to come from, board leadership that says, hey, when we get to the 5 languages that we're gonna do, let's assume it, we cap it at 5. We would need to communicate to say if there's anybody that wants to that isn't represented, let's figure out how to do that, but it wouldn't be on you, it would be on the
Mhm.
district to do.
I don't think so. I think I'd rather keep it all here.
Yeah.
Oh, but no, I mean,
Um,
saying, you know, they're not gonna know, like Araceli,
No, but we're gonna get the information from Araceli.
Right.
I'm not quite sure what you're asking that the district would do. I mean, district do the
what you just
surveys?
said,
Yeah,
Is
if
that
the
Araceli
family liaisons or.
would know of a family that would participate otherwise if their language was here, that she's gonna send it to them and they're gonna try to figure out how to get to that family, or we would just connect the family.
Let's check with
See what I mean?
Araceli and see. Let's just start with that and
Yeah.
then we'll figure out. I feel like we're going down to a
Yep.
really interesting what if hole. And I get it. I want to make sure that we have,
My thinking was just that if she has access to that survey that the students are taking, that if she came
That's
across
what I was saying.
families, then she
okay,
could.
All I
okay,
was saying.
okay,
help them
okay,
with that.
okay.
If that works for you guys.
The more, more information, the better.
We'll be talking all the time, so we'll.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Good. You're gonna have a lot of good information in 2 series. You really will.
It's a great idea.
And we've never done 2 separate surveys because we've always done the HYA piece or the Google piece. So I think the feedback you're gonna get from the students will be phenomenal. Yep. So moving along, let me know if you need a break at all. Anyone? Good? Okay, so moving along, we're on number 10, number of slated candidates. So we always try to interview at least 6. And so this is a board decision. You don't have to decide now. You can't decide now because you don't know who's applying. So what we will do is when we present the slate of candidates to the board, That is a meeting with the board where we review all of the candidates that have applied for the job after the posting is over. So we will put those candidates in tiers, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 1 is gonna be your strongest. Tier 2 is gonna be not quite as good as tier 1, and tier 3 will tell you, you probably don't want tier 3 as your next superintendent. And so the question becomes, and again, you don't have to decide until we do it that night, we present the slate, but do you want to pay for the first round, the candidates for that first round, when they come in, do you want to pay their expenses? And it's hard for you to answer right now because you don't know if someone's flying in or they're driving from a neighboring district. And so that night, when we present the slate, you're gonna want to say, yep, we're gonna pay for up to X amount of dollars of expenses for the candidates. They may have to stay overnight. They may have to fly, depends, where they're coming from. So that night we present the slate, you're gonna wanna let us know if you're going to pay, because when they come for the interviews, they may ask. And so we have to have an answer for them.
From your experience, how significant is that to their decision to stay in the consideration?
So we lost a pretty good person in a search because the district would not pay the expenses. Now, it doesn't happen all that often, and you would think that, that if they want the job, they're gonna come. So what we like to tell boards, so if the board says for the first round of interviews, they're not gonna pay expenses, then we would say we should give that person a Zoom option if they want to interview that first round. They can come in person, but they would be on their own dime, or we can do a Zoom interview the first round. It puts them at a disadvantage if it's Zoom and other people here in person, and they realize that. The other thing that most boards will do, especially the first round, is cap it. They'll say, we're not gonna pay more than $600. That's for flight, hotel, Uber, whatever, but it's capped. So anything over that amount, they have to pay. Otherwise, and they have to give receipts and everything as well. But otherwise, if you leave it open-ended, it could get expensive. But it's just think about it, and it's
Let
easy.
me make a comment about the first round. So I did a district in Colorado, and the board, due to expenses, and they wanted to treat everyone fairly, they required everyone to do that first round via Zoom, even internal candidates, which kind of evened the playing field. And then when they narrowed the field, they decided to go ahead and offer expenses for the finalists for round 2 or whatever. So that's another option, is just round 1 is Zoom. But that's totally up to the board.
I like that.
So one question about, you do get a sense of the personal interaction, talking personally. Are the candidates, the differentiation between the candidates significant enough in the first round to not need that personal interaction to tell the level of the candidate or the connection? Am I making sense?
Yeah, and if you do what Brian said, it's a lot easier to be able to judge if they're all Zoom or all in person. I look at it this way. So if you're in the top 6 or top 8, and you're trying to get to the top 3 or 4, if you're that good, it should not matter if you're on Zoom or in person, because you should be able to get in the top 3 or 4 out of the 8 if you're good. So if someone uses Zoom and is not equal to your top 2 or 3, you'll see it, whether it's in person or something.
I will say, I do a lot of Zoom interviews for my position. And it is, and then I also do a lot of in-person. It is so much better information that I get from the in-person than from the Zoom. Just because you have that personal interaction, people perform better in person than on Zoom, because there's like, oh, who do I look at, that type of thing. They tend to be less nervous if it's in person versus Zoom. And then we get the opportunity to like see them 3D and meet them and see their personality, whereas on Zoom, it's pretty cold.
Right.
So that's just my perspective.
So it's Zoom versus the cost of travel if we decide to do that.
And how many would be the cost of travel?
Yeah, well, I think it
And
depends
and
on,
it is interesting, because I was actually kind of thinking a little bit the opposite. If we were talking about doing Zoom 5 years ago, I would
Yeah.
say, wow, that's not a good, because not everybody. But we've been doing Zoom for several years now in a lot of scenarios that there is a little bit of, at this point in time, if you're not as comfortable doing Zoom, we still do a lot of Zoom meetings. How do you
Mhm.
present yourself in that virtual arena? Because not everything that we do is in person. So it is a deciding at some point, some people don't do well on Zoom, and they're very hard to do a meeting with. But you can't always do 100% of your meetings in person.
Yeah.
So it's, and I'm not sure how, again, because we don't know what the amount is going to be. How far afield we're going to get.
yeah, and I think that plays into it too.
You said we limit like six or whatever we decide initial, and usually you recommend 3 or 4 per.
Yeah, so we like the board to at least interview at least 6 that first round. Maximum of 8. You get more than 8. I mean, 6 is a good number, but you start getting 7 or 8, that gets to be a lot. So when we present the slate, like the conversation like this, we'll be able to discuss, and we should, as a group, a collective group, we've got a couple of exercises we can take you through as well. We should be able to easily get that down to the 6. Okay, and then if you can't decide between 6th and 7th, then I'll just do 7. It's an extra 45 minutes to an hour, just do 7. And then we always like to have at least 3 finalists. We say 3 because if you have 2 and 1 drops out, because if they're good, sometimes they apply for more than 1 job and they get another job offer. You don't want to have a lone finalist. You don't want to have one person so we try to get 3. If we can get 3 really good quality people that the board thinks could be your next superintendent.
So let me just say this out loud and then debate, I don't even know, but there's the part of, if they really want to be here, then they'd, pay. I guess the question is it a, reference point to see them say, if you're not paying, I'm not coming? I mean, they don't want it very, am I reading that wrong?
It's a possibility.
I think they could see it the other way.
That you don't
If
want.
you
If
want
they
me.
want me, they're gonna, if they're gonna.
So it's not a negative, it's just how
And it-
somebody sees it. Okay.
Especially if you're gonna have an internal candidate or 2 in the
Oh.
mix,
Right,
they're gonna,
right, that
they're good.
is,
why am I gonna? They just think the internal has a little bit of an advantage
Right.
usually.
yeah, that's a good point.
And so they think that, and the other thing that they is, they'll say, okay, I'm gonna be the CEO of this district. And their budget is X million of dollars. I think they can afford $600 or $700,
Yeah,
to have me come out here or
yeah,
whatever
that's
it is.
just one.
But again, we can have this discussion tonight. Yeah. Yeah. This will be a discussion tonight we present the slate.
Yeah.
Let's
So
just
it's
wait and
either-
see where everyone comes from.
Is it either all Zooms or we pay because we want it in person?
I'd lean toward the cap, but I kind of need to see it all calculated and make sure we're stewarding well, so, but we don't have to make that choice right now.
No, and you can't because you don't know where they're coming from.
Okay.
So let's wait till we present the slate and then we'll get a determination. So if anyone does ask us, I will just, we'll be able to tell them. Because they're not gonna know they're the top 6 or 7 or 8 until after we
Right.
present the slate.
And if they're
Yeah,
a candidate in Hawaii, then I think we do in-person interviews.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
So some of the-
Exactly. We'll be flexible and we'll go.
Throw the budget up.
Yeah.
But I do think, it could be that there's only 1 or 2 people, and so $600 for 2 people.
well, that's the plan, it'd be 6 for the.
Well, no, I'm saying like there could be 4 out of
Some are
the,
Oh, I see. what you're saying.
I mean, of course, we
Right,
may
right,
pay
right.
mileage or something.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
Yeah, that was my question, Julia. So would we pay mileage for somebody
Yeah, I
coming
think-
from Hillsborough, right?
Yeah.
If they wanted it, they probably wouldn't.
Yeah,
Usually they don't want it.
Or we could-
Within a couple hours, they
yeah.
would say no.
Yeah, okay,
They wouldn't even bring it up.
Okay,
But again, this discussion will happen that we present the slate, and we pre-screen every one of them. We do about an hour interview with every single applicant. And so sometimes they might bring it up and I'll just tell them, you know what? If you are one of the 6 or 7 that will be interviewed, you'll know before the interview what's
Yeah,
going on.
I lean toward a cap too. I mean, I'd like
You have
the
to cap.
personal
Yeah.
information. personal
Otherwise,
action.
if you don't cap it, they're gonna try to get an extra night, or they're gonna come,
Oh.
they're gonna wanna come and see the
First class
district, and they'll push it. Yeah, they'll push it. So, I did skip, I believe, the internal candidates number 11. So we treat any internal as any other applicant. So they go through the whole process, unless you tell us otherwise. The bigger question the boards will have is, let's say you have 3 or even 2 internals. Do we give them all an interview? That's your decision if you want to interview them. I can tell you, most boards will only give the internal an interview if they feel they're one of the top 6, 7, or 8. Otherwise, they won't even give them an interview. If the board is looking for like a token interview, just because they've been with the district so long, you don't want to make them upset by not giving them an interview. Again, that's totally up to the board. So then I would say, if you do that, I would say then I would say do 7, not 6. If you have that extra person, because you don't want to eliminate someone because you want to interview the internal just to be able to say you interviewed the person. So
I don't wanna be harsh or cold, but I wouldn't wanna interview just for pay, because I think we're trying to chase the next superintendent. That's my take.
Just, I agree.
So not doing what would be called a courtesy interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would,
Yeah.
I like. the
They're either
proposal.
qualified or they didn't make the cut.
Well, and I like that it's treated like the rest of the candidates, because
Yes,
then,
like everybody else.
Yeah.
just for their own sake too, like I earned my spot, you know? Like, it wasn't just because I was an internal candidate.
And I bet the outside candidates would appreciate him as well. The internals are treated just like
Yep.
everybody else.
okay. We're down to advertising.
And that's the next page that has all the potentials, right?
Yeah, page 6, I believe. So the ones I highlighted. So the HYA website is a great place for superintendents looking for jobs to go, and we do list all of them. So it's like a national advertising. That's included in your base fee. All of our social media is included in the base fee. And then we also have a relationship with the National Association of School Superintendents. It goes into their newsletter as well. That's included. And then for your diverse candidates, we would highly recommend using the Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents, and then the National Alliance of Black School Educators as well. It's fairly cheap as far as price for national advertising.
Let's call it inexpensive, not cheap.
Thank you. Inexpensive. One of those postings is for 4 weeks and the other's for 6 weeks, so I would recommend that. Now, here's where you're gonna have to make some decisions. The 2 national advertising package, which is much more expensive. If you choose to do that, again, it's your call. I don't think you need to. I really don't, given the fact that what I'm gonna say next, if you look down at the next gray boxes that we have highlighted, we really want to focus on the West Coast. We want to focus in the region. It's much more reasonable as far as cost goes. So the School Board Association, the School Administrators Association, those are where people are gonna go looking for superintendent jobs. So,
And we are a member of both OSB
Okay.
and COSA.
thought you would be. So those for sure. And then is there anything that we're missing that you can think of, a regional? The California one's a really good one too. That's gonna get a lot of attention. That I would highly recommend that one as well. And that would be much better than those first 2 we talked about, those other national postings. So here-
Um,
The ones that aren't. in
The ones
there.
that aren't highlighted,
the one.
right,
package 1, package.
It's-
Say national.
and that's not our price, that's their price, and it's, it's so expensive and I don't know.
With the AAS.
What's the one we already post on their website?
Yeah, that's free. So
There
that.
shouldn't be $1,000 fee for that.
It's $1,000 a year for unlimited.
But it's like, it's
postage.
already
You already
included in our,
paid.
we already
And
posted
that,
this.
so I'm curious then also on OSBA if that's the same way. I'm surprised.
I didn't know, does OSB have, where do they post?
I'm not
I haven't seen
positive.
them.
I've never seen a posting for, I mean, because for my admin, I mean, I've never.
Cause
seen-
yeah, I was like, I don't know if OSBA does job postings.
They used to, but with the new folks and
Yeah.
people and stuff, I'm not 100%. But if they did, I would think for what we pay, we should
So yeah, I
have
was
to
like, if they
pay.
do, it should be included in our membership.
Yeah,
I wonder, how much is the AASA? Because it would be nice to have like one national.
So package two, if you're gonna go national, package two is a much better, I guess for what you're getting. So it'd be $3,400.
But that's for the entire package, so is there one
Right.
cost
That
that's
includes
just AASA if we
AASA.
only did that?
I believe there is, let me get you that number. I don't. Yeah, that might be that 2,150.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, I see.
Yep,
right.
Is it the difference is Ed Week top school jobs for 30 days? Is that what it is?
yep, and then you've got I think they do some flashes as well, they send it out.
I don't know if we need that, but it'd be kind of nice just to, since we don't have to pay for COSA, we don't have to pay for OSDA likely.
yeah, and you're right. I don't see where there isn't a job
Yeah.
application on us.
Admin goes through COSA, organized.
What's that, Sean?
California.
I didn't hear the-
I don't know, what's
Most
Hang on, we
Oregon,
got two conversations going on. Just a second.
most Oregon admin look through COSA.
Okay,
Mhm.
Kathy, did you?
If we do the national advertising, how important do you think the California would be, or are those people most likely gonna see the national then if we did that?
I would lean towards the California one
Over the
over the
national?
national one. Just because you're gonna get, I think, more out of that for the region. People in the region. But it's, again, it's your call,
ALAS and CALSA is a chapter under ALAS, so if you advertise on ALAS,
That's.
it
part of
goes
that.
out to all of the chapters in
Yep.
the country.
okay.
Okay,
I mean, my question would be, I saw Idaho, but
I wouldn't do it.
would,
No.
It's too
No,
small.
we just listed this. to
Most
show
of their
you.
districts are too
Yeah.
small. They're not comparable to ours.
yeah, I mean, you've got Ada, who ran through COVID really effectively, like North Ada School District. Or West Ada, which is the one that handles Boise, like, I'm sure you have some interesting folks there, but I was actually gonna ask, like. Looking West Coast, I know like. We've seen a kind of influx of like Colorado folks toward Oregon, like and you guys I know have much more experience in Colorado. Like places like that effective to advertise in, or is it, would you just?
If people are looking, this is a question maybe back to HYA, if people are looking for a superintendent job, are they looking at these general locations? And how are these searchable? What's, if I search superintendent openings, do you come up? And so are they gonna find it there as opposed to having to target Colorado and Idaho and California and Washington,
Yeah.
we can spread it all over the place, but Google search is way different than it used to be.
Right.
So if you search superintendent openings, will COSA come up
Yeah.
and say, here's the ones in Oregon.
I don't know about that. I mean, for me personally, I don't know if I understand going to the different groups in our like West Coast region.
Uh-huh.
But then instead of going to say Colorado, there's a lot of people from Minnesota that do one national, like the AASA is kind of the
Mhm.
big national one that would pick up the Colorados,
Yep.
Minnesotas, all of that.
I personally even think California, if we're gonna do, I don't think we should do both, California and national search.
Oh,
because
so
of
do like the
cost.
Northwest.
So I'd rather do a national, in my opinion, I'd rather do a national search than just a California search if we wanted to make it broader.
Yeah.
As opposed to paying because of the cost.
I see. Yeah, so go to the Washington, Oregon, Idaho, national. right? Cause looks like Washington is $0. Idaho's $200, which is,
Oregon zero,
and Oregon $0.
what we think.
COSA zero.
COSA $0.
Close to zero, yeah.
Because you are members, correct? Is it? Yeah.
OSB is the one we don't know about.
And
But I don't think
the,
it
I
was-
don't think we have it. I don't think OSB has one.
I don't think
Brian,
they have it
Peters?
anymore.
What's that?
Did you look into the school board association?
Yeah, the website's not great to navigate, but the Oregon School Board Association, it looked to me like that you can post a superintendency there. What wasn't clear is if you're a member, do you have to pay, or is the $455 a fee just if you're not a member? So it seemed unclear to me what that meant. So we'd have to look at that.
Yeah, we are a member, but I don't see anywhere on their website where there is, there's no outside searches that I can find easily. The careers are for OSBA organization.
Yeah, there was one, I had to dig pretty deep and it took me some time, but I finally found a page and it may not be used anymore. It may be just from a past administration there at the organization. I don't know. The other thing I would say, someone asked the question, where do people look if they're looking to go national from their current state? So Hazard Young and Atia's website posts every single superintendency that's available in the nation when we know about it. And that's kind of unusual. It doesn't matter if it's McPherson or Ray and Associates or some other East or West Coast search firm. We post them if we know about that. When I talk to people that are searching, they're either looking at Ray and Associates, Hazard Young and Atia, and McPherson on those websites. And of course, they're all on our website if we can find them. So that may be helpful in your decision making as well.
And I did Google school superintendent job postings and HYA does come up.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the ASA, and I have never been a superintendent and would never want to be, but I don't know how used that service would be. Like I see some of the advertising even that HYA has done. But I'm just wondering if we'll catch them anyway. I think it's the question, right?
What was that one for?
ASA.
ASA.
It's just the broad national superintendent leadership group.
Is that something that basically all senior administrators are gonna be a member of and they're gonna see it? Oh, really? Okay.
That's why it's like, well, and I'm sure they send out like an email, like COSA sends out an email every week.
ASA,
Mhm.
since, the.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm like, it might be worth
Yeah.
it.
I defer. I'm not qualified to answer that.
So, sounds like the ones that are included, yes. We want to add the Latino administrators, superintendents and Black school educators.
Yep.
Is that one ad we want to do, the 520 for that?
Angela was texting me saying we might also be
Members.
We have an account with Alas and NAPSI.
Okay, so it might be
So we
included.
might
Um,
not have as big of a cost. at least
Right,
for
okay.
that posting.
OSBA, I still don't see, if it's so hard to find, I don't want to pay any money to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
COSA, we are involved in COSA, so COSA would be it. And Washington tags in because it comes through Washington School Board
Premium.
Association.
Yeah.
Huh,
If this one is free, if the Alas doesn't cost us $520, then the only one we would be paying extra for if we wanted to would be the national advertising.
And
and I don't know
And
that we need
Idaho.
to do that. Yeah,
I mean, I personally would be fine with like the package one in Idaho, because it seems like everything else might be free, including the Alas and NASP.
I guess the bigger question on doing the national one is, then we really need to have a bigger conversation about how much we're willing to pay for relocation costs. If we're advertising this nationally, we're telling people that we'll take you if you're coming from Minnesota.
I mean, if they're like the best candidate, personally, I'm like, relocation costs capped at X amount is.
Well, and on the HYA website is nationally too, correct?
It is.
So we're listed
Already,
nationally
yeah.
regardless of what.
So again, paying it additional, I don't know what other visibility that gets us to do that.
It's
If we're tapped in, we're a big enough district, we're tapped into some of these other associations. Is the word out there? And you just did a quick search and you could find it. Again, if someone's looking for a position, then are they actively looking versus waiting for something to pop up in front of them, and go, oh, I think I'd like to apply for that?
I think the difference is that the weekly email that AASA sends out is just one more avenue for them to
Mhm.
see the posting.
Uh-huh.
I like having a recommendation from you. Myra, would you have a recommendation for national?
Alas and AAS
Yeah, you would.
and those three, yeah, I mean, if we're gonna do a national search, those are the three I would do.
Say those again, alas, and
AASA,
And-
NASPA.
Which is package one.
that's the national. Okay.
So package one,
So two folks who are
Yeah,
in.
In education.
Yeah, because it's a- Yeah, because those three, those job postings, like the local, like CASA and the other chapters, like, they're linked to it. So you don't need to pay CASA if you're putting it on others.
Right.
so how about the difference between package one and package two? Do you think there's a need for the package two, or do you think package one is fine?
I don't think so.
The only thing you get with package two is Ed Week.
Well, there is an every posting, it's just that there's showcase homepage or something like that
Okay.
for 7 days. And is that worth $1,300?
I think package one is fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I guess it'd be package one. The, Alas, NASB, Idaho would be our three cost measures.
Well, and we think alas might not be that cost.
Well, true, but if there is.
I think we have it. Good. Any other questions on that? So the background check, that's something we don't have to decide till the very end, if you want to do that full-fledged background check. And you can't, again, you can't answer that question right now until you know who your person is you're offering the position to. If it's an internal person, you probably don't want to spend that money in that elaborate background check. If it's someone out of state, I would highly recommend.
Well, we have to have a background check anyways
Right.
before we hire anybody.
Correct.
Right.
Yep. The salary and fringe benefit piece, we have that already. Every state is different with their residency expectations. Some states it's illegal to make them live within your district. Some boards say, you have to live in our district. Some states make that a requirement. So again, it's something.
So we don't
Like,
have
highly-
that.
We don't.
Yeah, we don't have a
Department, I
requirement, and mostly it's kind of up to them. You need to get here.
Right.
So rain, sleet or snow.
It would be nice if we could just list it as highly preferred, you know,
Right.
like something we would love for you. to-
I would be real careful about that, because
Oh.
if someone is not, then they're gonna feel like I've already got a ding against me because I don't live here, because you.
Well, no, I'm saying moving here.
When you move here.
When you move here.
But I think to Chris's point, it's like somebody from Vancouver, it's like, oh.
Oh,
do I
gotcha.
need to move
I
to
agree.
there?
Yeah,
When they're-
or
Just
I can afford a
across-
house
I live
in,
in Troutdale.
yeah,
It's
Right.
really close,
in
but
Reynolds, or
still
in
not our
someplace
district.
else. It's not our district. Sandy, you know, it's not our district. So I would not wanna do that one. I don't see the benefit of it.
Fair enough.
And they may love it so much they'd want to.
Let's hope that.
Right, right. Okay,
I think the point would be, we want you to feel like you're part of our community. So if you live in
Right.
Sandy, you can still feel like you're a part of our local community. But if you're living too far, if you're living in Hillsborough, are you a part of our Gresham community? I don't know. So
Right.
but I think we can also talk about that.
Then we have that
in the
conversation.
interviews and have the
Mhm.
conversation instead of making a
Right.
requirement.
Because I wouldn't wanna lose somebody over, I live in Vancouver and you're gonna make me move. My kids go to school in Vancouver. I don't want to.
But I think it's reasonable to have an expectation that you're part of the community. So are you coming to events in our community? Are
Right.
you, are
Right.
you,
Are you
are you
available?
rubbing shoulders with people who live in our district? And
Right.
if you're, even if you live in Vancouver, if you're not willing to do that, that does say something.
Mhm.
okay. So we have two big things to do yet. And one is to go through the schedule and then the other is to look at that job posting. So,
And do we wanna take a 10-minute break? We've been at this for an hour and a half. Do you wanna take a 10-minute?
We'll get power through, but
Yeah, like,
both for 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
I'm just gonna stand then when we do this, so I don't need to leave. the
Want a
room.
5-minute break?
Let's do it 5
5 minutes.
Okay,
All right. All right.
All right, we're back to Gresham-Barlow Board of Education, October 19th, special meeting, superintendent search process.
Okay, we are looking at the calendar. It's page 8 of the outline. So you can see that we want to get this job posted as soon as we early next week, this coming week, I should say. The survey, we talked about opening the survey by November 1st.
Sarah, would staff be able to organize it to have like a booth at the football game?
I'm sure we could, we're in Gresham this year, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, on November
We just need to
1st.
talk to
Yeah.
the staff there, and we could get something set up,
Okay.
and I'll check in on tailgates for dinner.
Thank you. Pizza preferred, I think, right?
I just sent a note to the superintendent ordering the pizza, so yeah, we got that. We got it.
So all the focus groups, we will get all those set up in the month of November. We'll work with Sarah on that and the other people that you mentioned earlier.
November 1st. Yeah.
So the next big thing, I guess, would be when we present the district leadership profile report, we do that at a board meeting in open session. And then we put that on your website and our website. And then we can also present the slate of candidates the same night if you would like us to do that. And so I know your board meeting is December 4th, and we did say early December for both. So to lessen your meetings, we could certainly do the report in open session that night. And then we could present the slate to the board on that same evening. It takes about, depending on the number of applicants, I would say at least an hour to go through. We're gonna have them all tiered and you're gonna see them as they come in, so you're gonna have a pretty good idea before you get to that meeting, who your strong people are. So I think we can do it in an hour, but it would be
And that would be an executive session.
executive session.
Okay.
Yeah,
I will,
Prior to our.
Yeah.
That was gonna be
say-
a question, we
yeah.
typically would add an executive session at like
Prior.
6 before, or even 5:30
Yeah,
before our 7 o'clock business meeting. But I didn't know if,
The order.
the order of it, I was like, I didn't know if you could present the slate of candidates before you
can.
do the report.
yes.
and
Okay, so-
I will say, and you don't have to meet with me, but I am at Coastal Law, so I won't be here for that board meeting.
For the December
That's
4th
right,
meeting.
it's the
Correct.
first
So,
week of December.
sorry,
It is a good
Can
call.
you zoom?
what's that?
Can you zoom in on that?
No, that's the
Is it-
time when
yeah, like
I
the evening's
get
hard.
all my admin staff together.
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're doing on the 4th is making a presentation of the top 6 and we're agreeing to it, or are we deciding who the top 6 are?
You decide who the top 6, 7, or 8 are that you would like to interview that
Is,
night.
is that decision based on our review, pre-review, preliminary to the meeting? Or is it based on what you present? Because
Cause yeah,
the
well,
the point is.
Yeah, I could send you my like top 6.
I mean, I can have we can Zoom together too, or you could include the board president as well. It wouldn't be a quorum. The 3 of us could meet just to talk about, you know,
before the December 4th.
before,
meeting.
yeah. So you at least get a voice and we can hear what you have to say.
Would you
Yeah,
be
and I'm
comfortable
fine with,
that?
and if you wanna move without me, that's fine too, but it would be great to schedule a time to
Okay.
meet
Let's do that.
beforehand and.
And you'll see the tier candidates in the portal,
You're gonna
Prior
be
to
there till
that.
March.
Yeah.
the way, as they're being pre-screened, they're getting ranked and tiered, so.
So can
It is-
we,
The biggest questions you'll have for us, why is this person in tier 2 versus tier 1?
we'll see. We'll see.
Or why, yeah. And you can put them in any tier you want, but we'll tell you, we have them in tier 2 because here's what we found. Or it might be a really strong person, but just no superintendent experience. So, but all the people in tier 1 are current city soups and they're good.
Yeah.
So,
And I do Google searches on all the tier 1 and tier 2 candidates, every single one of them, and I, just
There's no
whatever you can dig up, just very informal.
yeah, and so, and we do a pre-screener with them as well. We end our conversation by saying, we're going to do all kinds of reference checks on you. We're gonna call people you don't list. We're going to do Google searches. We're going to find stuff that has been written about you. So here's your chance to come clean. Have you ever been on paid leave, unpaid leave, under investigation, severance agreement? I read a whole long list of stuff to them and they spill their guts. They really do. And we tell them, if you're not honest with us right now, and we find something, it will eliminate you from the search. And so they're good. And there can be a severance agreement, and there might have been a legitimate reason. I mean, the board changed. It just, something happened, something controversial happened, and then they closed some buildings. I mean, there are so many reasons why people leave, and they can explain them.
I want to go back real quick. Myra's also going to be at the Coast Conference on December 4th. So, we'll either work out a conversation with you guys, or Myra might be able to zoom in because she won't have the same obligations you do.
Okay.
So just let people know, Myra and Sean will be on that.
Okay,
Okay.
so we're gonna do the 4th at, what, is it 5:30? Is that,
So anyway, that's up
Is
to the board, I guess.
Well, I think we need to get a little closer, because if we don't have any other thing that we would need to start before the 7 o'clock meeting, then
Okay.
we could start at 6. But if we
Gotcha.
had business that needed to be done in a board work session before the meeting, we might have to start at 5:30.
Or we'll just, this is more important.
Oh,
the
totally,
work
but
session, whatever might be on the December one. Yeah.
Oh, an hour and a half. Oh, I see.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
have to start at 5:30 anyway.
Yeah,
So yeah,
Yeah.
5:30 would
Yeah.
probably be.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I
it
actually
would
had that
mean,
option.
it would mean then whatever potentially could be on there would probably get moved to the December work session.
I'm in favor of an executive session on December 4th.
Okay. Yeah, me too. Okay. David, how's that work for you?
It works.
Okay.
I'll be here.
You'll be here.
I will be here.
You won't be a COSA.
and then if you can get us on the regular agenda as well,
So
present
Yes.
and early on the agenda, please, if you can do that.
Yeah.
You don't want to be at the very end.
I'll be there at 9, which will be what, 11 for you guys?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that Cal, right?
No,
No,
that's,
December
that's,
4th,
that's
it'll be
here.
here.
Yeah, that's our business meeting, so it'll be, the pre-meeting will be in here.
Okay.
Okay. So the next big date then is the first round of interviews. And again, looking at, so for some reason within the RFP, it was a pretty tight time schedule. And I know you are gonna hire an interim superintendent that's here. So my big question is, you want to do the first round of interviews prior to the holiday season or after the holiday season?
Well, I guess if we're presenting or if we're deciding on the 4th, would that be enough time to turn around and have people?
I think it's gonna be rough.
I think
It's
it's
the
gonna be
holiday
rough.
season and to get people
Yeah.
here, fly in. And then again, go out there in January.
Expenses more too.
Yeah. I think trying to schedule, because we'd be scheduling more than one
Yeah.
meeting, potentially several.
Yeah.
In a time period when it's holiday time, there's school things going on with holiday
Yeah.
time that people wanna go attend.
People are on their holiday break.
They're on, yeah, so I think pushing it into,
Early January?
Yeah.
Which Myra, you said something, I think at another meeting, that it might be good to do some of the interviews during the break, right? Because then people would be available if they're current.
But we're gonna pay for it.
That's true, that's true.
yeah, it's really expensive.
That's
Yeah.
fine.
So,
But it can, if they're doing presentations for us, then it would give them winter break to prepare presentations to interview in January.
so let me say one other thing, and you guys have a discussion. So for the first round of interviews, again, plan on 6, maybe 7, somewhere in there. You have 2 options. You can do 2 separate evenings, but keep in mind, it's gonna be between at least 3.5 hours, if not 4 hours each evening. And more districts, and I hate to say this, but are going to a Saturday. And I don't know how you feel about, you're here today, which is awesome. They're going to a Saturday for the first round of interviews. And the reason is the candidate can spend the whole weekend in that district and really get to know the district, look around, easier for travel, on the Friday or Monday, or spend a couple days. And how that works normally is the board would interview 3 or 4 in the morning, take a lunch break, and then finish up early afternoon. But again, it's all day Saturday, and it depends on board work schedules, the evening gets a lot of things going on. So that's this discussion you should probably have. Would you rather do 2 evenings or a Saturday?
There is some benefit for the continuity of seeing everything and
On one day.
take one day. The only concern, and it's knock on wood, that January is the worst weather month for
Yep.
Portland, but we
Travel
just
and-
would, yeah, we just
Yeah.
would hope that nothing. would come.
Yeah, but I think we had our big one this year. It's usually every 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
We're not due again.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And I would say maybe, just throwing it out there, maybe on the 11th, because the 10th is both a Gresham game and a Barlow game, so maybe they could go the first half of one. And, that way they could
What are
see
you
the
talking-
community.
what- Sorry,
You said
January?
But January 11th. If they fly in on that Friday morning, they can come see the community, they could go to the respective basketball games and see the communities. If they choose, I mean, they could choose to fly in Saturday morning, but that would give them.
All 6 people or all, everyone who?
Well, we're gonna, it's like, but that would say, guys, we have,
If anybody wanted to.
if anybody wanted to, there's a girls' game at this time, a boys' game at this time.
Well, so then I'm just gonna ask the question then, if there is that, are there board members here who want to go to those games, if that's a bad day to pick?
Well, we could still go Friday
No, we
night,
could-
Saturday.
that's-
Yeah.
Got it.
Meetings would be on
Okay.
So they fly in.
Friday, gotcha. Okay, see, I'm not.
So the whole point is the board does the meeting on the 11th, whatever the candidates want to do, totally.
But
up to
they
them.
we would let them know that there is a,
There's-
We'd like them to have the option of coming on a school day, the
Yeah.
interviews may be on a Saturday, but if they wanted to come and see our schools even on a school day,
uh-huh.
I feel like that would be nice, but.
And keep in
And
mind,
maybe
though,
they won't. the
they're-
first round.
it's preliminary, it's still
Yeah.
confidential, their names aren't out there, so
So
whatever
maybe
they
they don't
do.
So they may not.
They may not be.
Down low, if they choose to, because it really
Right.
isn't
Right,
up to us, we're
Right.
just a Saturday meeting.
but they're just somebody showing up at game too.
Yeah.
Right,
I
yeah.
like January 11th.
Release their.
Because January 4th is still during the winter break.
It's
for us.
still during break, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the 11th, I don't have anything scheduled that day, except for.
And maybe we could get, for them, like free
Yeah.
passes or whatever to the various games that we have, because they do cost to go in those games.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just a reminder on the first round, most candidates will not want to have their names or their faces exposed for that first round. The final round for sure, that's obvious, but many times they will not want to be identified. So that's why it's an executive session, so.
Okay. So then, next on the schedule,
So what, sorry, for my personal calendar, are we doing it on the 11th? And if so, what time should I block that?
Just think about it,
All
like,
day.
so starting at 8 or starting at 9?
I would prefer to start earlier, like 8.
Okay,
Um,
8 to 4.
8 to, well,
What,
take.
how long? 45 minutes for an interview?
yeah, we like to give them 45 to 50 minutes for the interview, and then at least a 10-minute break for the board
Mhm.
between each interview.
So an hour.
So
Okay,
you just schedule them on,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, so.
And then a break
go-
for lunch, quick break for us to
Yep.
have lunch.
Yep.
And then come back and we should be able to be done by.
And then if there's an odd number, like 7, for example, typically it's 4 in the morning, lunch, 3 in the afternoon.
Okay,
Okay.
So just all day.
I think, just keeping privacy in mind, maybe think through the locations, but that's natural. And just where there's good access that, because we're gonna post where it is, right?
You
Well,
have to.
It'd be kind of cool to
I
have.
mean, I guess
it
you
in
post,
a- in
you
a-
would post location for executive session, but you wouldn't, that's all
But
you
they're not
post,
coming
is
in.
just.
This is not public part.
Yeah.
So,
Under the interviews are not public.
not with this first.
Yeah, the
round.
interviews would not be public.
No, no.
But-
Exactly.
I mean, I still have to post
Location.
the
We
ORS
post it.
for the executive
Yes, the
session
location will be
and the
public as
location
well.
of
Yes.
where that meeting
Saw
will
them
take
walking
place,
in,
but.
they could put 2 and 2 together.
I just,
Yeah.
I would invite
Yeah.
meetings on at districts. I would like to see it in the school.
It's harder to get into a
School's
school
harder
on Saturday.
yeah.
You have to pay for custodial, you have to pay to turn the stuff on, all the lights and heat aren't on necessarily on
They
Saturdays.
definitely would not be.
Yeah.
I would have to try and work
So,
with them.
and it would be even more unusual to have people showing up coming into the building on a Saturday.
Sure, shut biscuits down and.
Not on a Saturday.
I think that there's some other opportunities, though.
Yeah.
Like Center.
Yeah, we
for
could
the-
look at,
Sue Halloran's building has offices there.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Let's work
We could,
with the
yeah.
chamber.
With
and
Cal.
find-
yeah, and school's hard because you would have to try and heat the thing.
Yeah, let's,
Yeah.
let's work.
In January, you'd want it heated.
Reach out to
Is
Sue.
Cal in that same realm then, Sarah?
Cal, I don't know. I think they do the heating stuff. I would still have to work with them on, yeah. but
We've at
we
least
could
got
get
multiple
access.
floors with
we're a
Cal
member.
that we could let people in and
Well,
out.
and you, the parking lot's a little
So,
more,
so this is in the weeds, so let's work on
Yeah,
that.
yep.
So if we're,
Okay.
if we're a member of the chamber, we can use their conference room.
I'll-
yeah, we remember you there.
let's work
Yeah,
on that.
let's, yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
I'll work on it.
We've got some time to figure out location.
okay.
Okay. So then next we have, what, after you interview the 6 or 7, you narrow that down to your hopefully top 3. We schedule what we call our day in the district. So each of the finalists would spend 1 full day in your district, and that's where we would set up some meet and greets. They would meet with different groups of people as well. That's where we get feedback from your community, those Google Forms that Stacy talked about. And then we like to do the final interview the very next day. So we need 2 back-to-back days in January. The board is not really involved at all for the day in the district unless you would like to come to a meet and greet where they're talking to the community or the evening session. It's up to you. And we like to do them back-to-back because if someone is flying in, it's 1 trip.
Yeah.
That they don't have to come back, that they don't have to fly here for the day in the district, go back home and come back the next week. So, and the other advantage is some of the days in the district can take up to a day and a half, especially when you start having the bigger districts. So then you could do the day in the district, that full day, and if you needed to, that next morning, you could still do a few more meet and greets the next morning, and then you give them a nice long break, and then the final interviews are then that evening.
So I'm sorry, I'm not quite tracking how, so we're down to 3 finalists.
Correct.
So are the finalists all together?
They come in together on the same day.
So they come in together, they're visiting, so it's a
group visit?
group visit.
So the way it's set up is if we do,
Different schools at different times.
yeah, so
Okay.
the school visits, we tend to set up where they're one-on-one with the 3 individuals, they're separate.
Okay,
Okay,
I wasn't,
but-
yeah, I was trying to figure out how that was gonna work then. Okay.
But lunch, for example, they can all be together for lunch. They're professional. They will talk to each other. They can be together for lunch. And then in the evening, usually, or we'll have like different rotations where one might be meeting with staff, one might be meeting with the community, one might be with another group, and then we just kind of rotate them.
Okay. And then the next day, the board would,
The board would do the final interview, and that would be
Okay.
individually with the 3 as well. So
So these would be like weekdays, right? Because
Yeah.
The school and special.
we need
Yeah.
2 back-to-back weekdays, what we need in January.
Okay, I was thinking we could, I mean, I don't know what's on the plan for future agendas, but maybe not the general board meeting, but the
Work session,
19th.
Work session.
The work session in February. That does push it out a little bit. I
So,
think it would
but
be.
February, we don't have a work session, remember, because that's the retreat days.
that's the retreat,
Oh, okay.
yeah. And the retreat got moved to the 28th.
The 8th.
Yeah.
But we have a work session, 22nd of January.
Do we have a work session? Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
do.
Yeah, we'll have one in
22nd.
January.
So that would be like 2 weeks later.
Mhm.
Is that gonna push the timeline too far?
11 days after the.
No, because you'll want to give them time to travel and all that kind of stuff as well. So the first round will be on the 11th.
Right?
So I would actually suggest the week of the 19th, just to
So
give them some
that's-
time to set their schedule, take their vacation time, whatever they need to do to clear their schedule from their district, if they're in their current district.
And so
so
we
that
might
would
have
just be
to
the
add
normal
a
work
little bit of
session.
time that night just to do 3 interviews.
You're looking at a good hour, at least an hour per interview.
The only, we've had other large districts in our area do mass community meet and greets, and like interview the superintendent candidates. I don't know, I couldn't tell if that was kind of what you had in mind. Is there any concern? My concern goes back to certain history within the district where it felt like we'd have these big kind of events. Community thought, I have a vote in this, and that perception really soured the outcome.
Okay, so before, I would say, I don't know, last couple of years, we used to give each person one full day in the district. So that's 3 separate days. And then we would have meet and greets in the evening for the parents and community, but it's 3 evenings. And the problem is, to get a good sense of the 3 finalists, they would have to commit to going to all 3.
Yeah.
And people just don't do that. They won't give up 3 evenings.
And the days.
And
yeah.
and we one of the groups is our students, and it's high school students. So I don't like pulling high school students out of classes for 3 consecutive days. So then we kind of switched to bring all 3 in one day. And the only issue with that is the community group. If they each get their own 45 minutes with the community, there's gonna have to be one community group like at 5 o'clock, and that's pretty early for people that work. And they might not get into the second group or the third. So that is an option. We like the one day. Okay, but it does have some drawbacks as well. And then as far as the feedback, so on this form that we talked about, for all these meet and greets in the public, they answer 2 questions. What do you like about this person? What strengths do you feel this person can bring to the district? Why they would make a good superintendent? And then what would concern you if this person were hired? And as they type that in, it goes right to the board portal. There's a sheet in the board portal. It goes right to the board portal and into your documents. So you can see in real time. Stacy manages that, and as they come in, she wraps them or unwraps them.
format them.
You do.
And so you can read them as they're submitted during those open, you'll have them for the next day. You'll have them that day.
And we make it pretty clear to these meet and greet, the people who attend, you're not ranking them. This is the board's hire, this is the board's decision, but they want your input. And so they feel pretty good about being able to give you input. And usually, once you read through all the stuff they write down, it's pretty spot on with, who you think at least your top 2 would be.
So are you recommending that we do a community one, or is it too complicated to do?
No, you need to do a community one where they have a chance. The other thing, I was just talking to Nancy, who's technically my boss, she's the COO, she's doing the Clark County search out in Nevada, and she's finishing up in Atlanta as well. They brought all 3 of their finalists in together in the evening and they had a moderator, kind of like a panel. They had
That's exactly what I told.
Yeah.
Innovative.
Mhm.
That's kind of what I feel like PBS did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's set the stage very
No,
for that
no.
person.
I think it's even if you have to go to a half hour. To try to get some decent times for the community and keep it to that within that hour and a half, it would go over 2 hours, each and a half hour breaks. I think I like the one-on-one. I like where they can have a one-on-one with the community for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and the community can give you feedback on all 3 people.
Yeah.
To have 3 there as a panelist, it just.
It's hard.
It gets cumbersome, it comes.
That was the whole time, I was like, it's like a debate.
Yeah. So let me get back to the timeline then. So we've got, top 3 that would do day in the district. The next day, we would do the final interviews, which would be January 22nd. And next day is, presumably they're gonna be here on the 21st then. So then when are we talking about having a community engagement component?
This one first.
On the 21st.
Yes.
So the same day as the date, so the day of the district during the day, and then the
That's
evening,
what I'll win for that.
and so it would be one candidate for 30 minutes with an audience.
Correct.
That candidate would leave, the next one would come in,
Yep.
And then the
Correct.
next one would come in.
Correct.
Okay.
Should we pull up an old search that
We
kind of
can,
shows the
if you want, if
coordination?
you want to, we can share it with,
Well, I can send it to,
you can put it up on the
I'll
board.
pull up a schedule. It's complicated, but it works. And there's a lot of coordination and it's nice to do it in one day.
So is that the week we're gonna be visiting the schools?
Yes.
So that Monday, the schools will be closed because of Martin Luther King Day.
It would be the 21st, it would be
It's
Tuesday,
21st.
because our meeting's a Wednesday.
So they
Yeah.
come in on a Tuesday, day, evening, and and then Wednesday night is the interviews.
And
And
actually it could be to our advantage that there is MLK Day because they could fly in.
Flights are gonna be
Monday
cheap
night.
on Monday.
so on the 21st, where we'll do the school tours will be set up. They'll do some different meet and greets, some meet with the community that night. On the 22nd, the interviews are in the evening with the board. And many times we have the student groups that morning because there's not enough time the day before to get the tours in and do all the meet and greets and include the students as well. So we tend to, that next morning, we like to do the student group as well. So they will have some more meet and greets that Wednesday morning,
Is
or
that
the
testing
Wednesday
week
morning.
for students?
No, finals
Finals
is
is
the
next week.
27th, the week after
Okay.
that.
I did, I'll print
Right,
it.
so then questions.
Good question.
Okay, fine.
Why would you dare see that?
I didn't, I put it in the universe. Anybody that wanted to pick it up.
My calendar, right here. 27th. That is a short week and it is their, end of the grading period, so. Students who haven't turned in assignments throughout, sometimes
do
rushing to
reports.
turn them in that week.
Okay, she's gonna pull up,
I'm gonna send this. to
and you can look at that real quick, and then the only thing we have left is the posting.
it'll give you a good snapshot. of what it's- And it is hard to. Put these. It's just. Okay. Come through.
Sometimes it takes
Yeah.
30 seconds or a minute for it to come over.
We are finishing up scheduling and then I think we're gonna go over the
Posting, and we're gonna-
posting one of them.
yeah, she's gonna pull up what, Jamie, this
This
is.
is from a search from lunch. So, like, you have a principal assigned to that or a staff member?
Yeah, so as far as the tours go, we would have some principals or a central office person kind of lead those tours. And it's nice, once they get to the buildings, that the principal actually takes them around and to lead the tour of that building. And again, the disadvantage of a bigger district, they're not gonna get in every building. It's impossible. But they're gonna get to multiple buildings with the 3 finalists.
So better.
Oh, I see. So you have your 3 candidates and you have
They're staying.
20 minutes essentially at each school.
Okay. And some you can group together, where it may not be in you wouldn't be going to an elementary and a middle, you might go to a middle to start with and then go to one and then go back to, you'd
Yeah.
be mixing.
Yeah, some of them, it's
Yeah,
like, they're
yeah,
in
mixing
elementary,
and
they're in the
matching.
middle, they're in a high school.
Right.
And,
Go to the drive-through to get lunch.
yeah,
Actually, eat the cafeteria, grab and go cafeteria.
After they do that, they might
So-
want to get an email.
I'm just looking at time.
After they do that, they might want to get
that.
a.
So you got the schedule. We're good.
okay, posting. So Brian, I don't know if you want to jump in on the posting at all. This is a draft posting. We have a few questions. It's a little bit long. We should probably try to shorten it up a little bit.
So the draft posting is the paper, but it's not on here. Sorry, I think it is on here.
It's in the portal too, I believe.
It is.
This one.
Skipping ahead to the frontline house.
Yep.
Position posting, so.
Oregon does not have a superintendent license.
Prince's
So I
a-
understand there are other states that do, but.
Oh,
uh,
this one, okay.
That's one of our questions. So.
Chris, there's a paper here too.
Oh, no, I found it. Yeah, and I have the paper too. And I
There's
have
a-
another paper and I've got
A
it written on my
professional
arm.
administrator license
Okay.
is what it's called. So a superintendent license or
Professional.
professional administrator license.
Yeah.
And then your candidates would need to know that if they are transferring into Oregon, Oregon's a little funny with their license stuff. They'll have to take a finance class and so it's not a,
Do they still have to do that?
yes.
Yes.
And the only place that they offer it, and it's only once a year, is at Coastal Law.
Yeah, like at the December conference, I remember, I just had to go to that.
Yeah, yeah.
It's amazing. People there.
A professional administrator's license, you said?
Yeah, for Oregon.
And most states have some sort of tricky thing that superintendents have to do within the first year. It could be, I've even seen a state history class so that they're aware of what's going on in the state. But
That
We've already done it.
No,
They have a year, is that what I described?
3 years. Would they have to have it within 3 years?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think Oregon, they want them to do that because Oregon does biennial budgeting.
Yep.
So they wanted to understand it's not a year-to-year budget. It's a legislator allots money. So big years this year, and then its second year is already a lot, and then again, so they just want people to understand.
fairly common.
Okay. So Brian, any thoughts on the posting? Any?
Yeah. A couple of thoughts. So as you know, I've interviewed all of the board members and I've interviewed almost all of the senior staff. And what you see here is kind of a reflection of what I heard. It doesn't mean that everyone agreed on everything that you'll see in here, but I think that generally, other than maybe one topic, there's, I would say, general consensus. As to Mike's point, it is a little bit long. I'm not sure that you need the mission, the vision, and the goals there. To me, it doesn't matter if they're there or not, because we have links to all of those things on your website. I do think that student demographics are really important. You know, some superintendent candidates feel really comfortable in highly diverse population districts, and others just don't. And so I think that's nice to have that on there. The other thing I would point out, we got some really nice points of pride. What I did was I took what we received via email. I think Kathy sent those to us, but then I also weaved in some other things that I heard from both senior staff and also other board members. So when you look at the superintendent characteristics, what I've done is I've weaved those together from what I've heard in my current interviews so far. You can take a look at those, you can debate those, but those generally are the themes that I've heard in all of the interviews that I've done so far. So I'm happy to answer any questions about where we are on this posting. I think it's very close, but there might be some edits and some changes should the board reach consensus on those.
I wonder if the bullet point under superintendent qualifications, it says Oregon Superintendent Administrator License. Should that be, you know, superintendent, or, because we list that down in the frontline application, like. I would hate for somebody to say, oh, I need to have my Oregon superintendent. and
Right.
not even apply. And then if you just say administrator license, you know, that could be just a general administrator. So there might be somebody without that, like EAL license or superintendent license, so.
Mhm. We can actually take that right out because it is under number.
Because we do have this wrong, the
Yes.
board may, we do not possess an Oregon superintendent, so is that clear enough?
No,
Because it says right here that if they don't have it, we could still consider them.
yeah, but I mean, if I was a candidate in Washington and had the Washington superintendent license and I say, oh, well, they really want somebody with the current Oregon superintendent license, I mean, they may consider me, that might throw me.
Oh, and your advertising action.
Right. So we can just take up that second bullet point, because we kind of mentioned in frontline about having that professional administrative license
Or the superintendent.
or superintendent license.
So that just
Yeah.
taking out the word Oregon then?
No, take out the whole.
The whole second bullet point's coming
You
out.
like the bullet that she has
Yep, yep,
highlighted up
yep,
there?
yes.
And then the other question I have, do you want that first bullet point or not? The doctor preferred.
Yeah, I want to hear some thoughts about that.
Can you guys explain that to me?
Well, our last few superintendents, other than.
In general, you're
Blair,
going
we
to
don't have-
have a lot of superintendents with their doctorate. It's just advanced, education. And so I think it's okay to have a doctorate. It doesn't preclude somebody from applying.
But is it preferred? If we've had our last 8 superintendents and only one has had a doctorate.
And the only person of color and female, yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, if you say preferred, it doesn't mean that it's required. It's just, hey, we'd love to see it.
But does it do exactly what you just said, the second point does? Make people not.
That's true.
Hesitate.
Does,
Yeah.
can,
Pause.
It can.
Pause.
Okay, that's
I
fair.
think that just becomes something that we look at as part of our ranking.
yeah.
But not necessarily.
It'd still be in their application, right?
Yeah.
You know, if, you'll see it.
Yeah, it'll be on the resume or.
Yeah.
Right.
Stay on the resume.
Yeah. I mean, I know a lot of really, really good superintendents who do not have their doctorate degree.
So take that one.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
okay.
And the characteristics, none of them mention instructional leadership. I don't see instructional leader or instructional or experience strong, something with instruction, and I
Yeah.
mean.
Educational leadership. I
Uh,
realize that word's still.
So expanding on that first one.
I just think it's somewhere we
Sure,
should
just some places.
we
it's
should
separate.
be requesting an instructional leader if they're gonna lead a school district. And I don't even, and I haven't checked Kathy, but I don't think we mentioned that in the intermediate.
What's that, instructional?
Instructional leader,
Maybe not.
yeah,
Okay.
it's like, oh, we want you
That's-
to be responsible with learning, but you don't have to know how to teach. or
Well, but
know-
it
That's the
doesn't-
thing, the interim though is not making changes, they're holding things so that we get to this point. The
And
interim is not.
under the
I'm not, I'm just
Yeah, yeah.
saying, it's interesting that we want someone who's fiscally responsible, but they didn't have to know anything about
In
instruction.
education,
In that
Yeah.
first one, can we just change high-level educational leadership to high-level instructional leadership?
And in the qualifications, it says K through 12 teaching experience preferred.
Preferred, but you don't have to be a teacher of it.
Well, then change it up above. I'm just saying it's
Oh,
already
up
there.
here, I see.
Oh, understand.
Instead of taking out just take out preferred and K-12 teaching experiences. I would imagine very few superintendents have not
No
been.
teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the last bullet point under.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, it's on the next page.
I also think that once we take out those other two, it will move up to the one page, which I like.
Yeah.
I didn't see those.
Right. Yeah,
Because it was,
it needs some cleaning up.
So take out preferred.
Yes, K-12
K-12
teaching
teaching
experience.
But then do you still want it to include instructional?
Yeah, I think it should be under the characteristics instructional leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, however that phrase is better. If we are talking about formatting real quickly, the page at the bottom, page 1, where it has district compliance, student demographics and links. Take out that blank space so that student demographics, we don't have, the last one hanging on the backside. Because we have our demographics, then we have American
Oh, I
Indian,
see.
Alaska Native on the second
Right.
page.
Yeah.
And then same with
well, if
district
we take out the
enrollment.
mission and vision and goals. that
Yeah,
should
that'll
all
bump
add
all
up
it up.
anyways.
On the
So-
first page,
On the first page is what I'm talking about.
We take
Yeah.
out
well, no.
mission, vision.
Yeah, mission, vision and goals.
Yeah, if we take out mission, vision and goals, that whole box would shift up.
I
probably
don't,
all
I
fit
don't know that I was agreeing to take that out. I like having that. I know they can go look it up, but I like having it on.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
but we can just take out, there's white space there that we can take that out.
What's the UGH?
It's just a.
Typo?
extra words.
Who's that?
What do you say?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Gresham-Barlow.
Ugh.
I thought it was another acronym.
Yeah, no, that's another
Right
line.
about
Oh,
Gresham
it's another
Barlow
line
mission.
back. It's another line.
Okay.
I think, I mean,
That's very
I
important.
don't wanna dive way deep, but I think it might feel like a misrepresentation to say the city's experienced rapid growth over the last 20 years. That's true. But from a rural farming community, it's been 80 to 100,000 people for 20 years.
Yeah.
You know, it is a boom. Our boom is in diversity.
Yeah,
You know, I think probably, I mean, I'm assuming they're trying to, because there's that urban rural divide.
Yeah, you do have a very distinct city urban.
You know,
and it's been,
Yeah, so our area, our surface area ranges from
from
a near urban environment. I mean, it's still a suburban environment to a rural.
Cause reading that, it would almost imply that we somehow don't have a rural farming community, that it's become a urban area. And I don't think that's accurate.
So if we redefine, it's in the third paragraph on the first page.
Oh,
So it says our growth came from being rural to now we're urban.
Oh, yeah.
Which
And our
is,
growth over the last 20 years, probably in the
Really
first of the last
diversified.
50 years, it was the first 20.
Right.
The last 20
Yeah.
years has been through diversity, A, B, a unique thing about Gresham-Barlow is that we now have a distinct rural and a distinct urban.
That's what makes it so
Community.
different.
Yeah.
It is,
That's the
that's
hard
what's
part.
unique.
I mean, you go to Barlow and they got cowboy hats and cowboy boots.
and
You get
farms
some of
still
that
have
at Gresham.
I'm just gonna write.
Yeah.
It's just so.
Yeah, but you have farm people who've lived on farms for,
Yeah.
like, their land for a number of years.
So that's just a distinction,
Okay.
easy.
See more trucks at Barlow.
And there are actually more school districts that do have that huge rural and urban component when they did consolidation 25 years ago,
Hillsborough.
which created the, yeah, anywhere that has a split name, usually it means it combined where there weren't enough kids in the rural area, combined it with the urban so they could make a bigger district. Did we agree that we like the mission vision goals left on the page?
I'm not for or against, so I defer.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, I like it being on the spot.
The goals are the district's staff strategic goals. They aren't the board, so I do kind of wonder about
which.
taking those out,
Um,
just rather than introduce confusion.
One of the points to consider, Chris, is that
Mhm.
it is important, but the more you have, the less they see.
true.
So it's almost
True.
like it would be more impactful on them if they had to go find it.
Mhm.
And then to Blake's point,
We want them to.
there
look
are
at our
district
website.
goals and then there are board goals.
Right, but we're hiring them for the district, so I think at least knowing the district goals and they'll learn us, but. Yeah, so if you don't think it should be, if it is wordy, there's a lot of wording.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it's important to have it on there, but if I'm looking at the cost versus the benefit of space and impactfulness, I'd probably need to taking it out.
And I do like that the natural consequences that they go to our website and peruse that a little bit, which is not a bad.
Um,
thing to have them do.
And I'd hope a superintendent candidate.
Would do that
takes
anyways, I would
a
hope,
few
right.
minutes to-
Or, yeah, they will.
Mm,
It would be nice if we could shorten it up a little bit. It's long. It's
So,
really long.
okay, I'm gonna go back to, on the first page, the second, third, and fourth. We are the Gresham-Barlow School District. Not all of our families live in Gresham.
Correct.
So you just want.
So
that
it
to
says
say
Gresham is a welcome community, Gresham is a diverse population,
The
Gresham
district, so
residents.
just change it to
Yeah,
district.
district.
District, yeah.
Good
Yeah.
catch.
Yeah.
Some live in
or
Boring.
the district serves a welcoming
Uh-huh.
community, yeah.
Yeah.
District.
It's like
Yeah.
us who are.
I did a quick jump to the bond, how we advertise the bond.
What page is that on?
On page two, down where it says the bond, I think that could get curtailed a little bit. It was invested added, kind of total value added to the community. I would feature like, I don't know, state of the art is probably a tired phrase, but our performing arts programs in the comprehensive schools. The turf is labeled twice. Really, it's just expanded co-curricular and extracurricular opportunities for kids. I think anyway, the bond that part could get.
So I,
Well, I was gonna say, do you wanna like you just said, leave that, or do you wanna send it to them what you would think is a more succinct description?
and before we go too far into that, I just want to put in my 5 cents worth. A community that can pass a bond is one of the biggest indicators of supporting education, supporting the community, being cohesive and doing it. that is something that not every community can do. And the fact that we did it at the volume that we did it, the things that we got out of it, I think that needs to be front and center.
I agree.
Okay,
It's just
You just
about how we label it in a succinct, like, powerful way.
So.
So-
so
saying
for someone who's an educator, superintendent, that's gonna be big for them. They're gonna look at that and say, you've invested in this community at a huge amount and what we did. So what
I
else do we
agree,
add?
but
to
it's
it then?
super redundant. That's
So
what
the
I'm saying.
second,
It's a
the
redundant
one, two,
bullet.
so
keep
the
the
three,
bullet, but then the three smaller bullets would just be a general. State-of-the-art performance facility, expanded, what did you say, like access to or sporting or?
Well, so I agree, integrated security systems is probably the last. Though I think it's very significant. I would say start with the schools as you do, like, so it rebuilt 2 elementary schools. And included $190 million investment into our high school, something in that range.
so if we just did the first paragraph, took out the added turf and the integrated security and just put in the bond.
Yeah, I'd focus on the educational experiences of our kids and then, so I'd start with the schools. Here's what was rebuilt, here's what was modified, then I would just say, including like they're really regional, like performance arts facilities and, extracurricular, like, right now we say turf twice, Chris. That's what I'm saying.
No, I just already crossed
Okay.
turf off, yeah. And, but that has been a big, that's been a big community event. I would still leave, I still would leave a little bit in here, and again, going back to what Holly said, it's gonna make somebody wanna go look and say, well, what else did you do with that money? And that should be reflected, because otherwise, if we put in all the other things you were just saying, that can get really long, because then what have we left out? I
Okay.
agree with crossing out,
Then take out the third bullet.
take out the third bullet and the fourth bullet, or is the fourth bullet important because it's
Security is
safety?
pretty
I think
important.
it's-
All right, leave that one in,
Yeah.
okay,
Um.
You can maybe take out the
So-
parentheses and just say integrated security systems for it's all schools. I don't know if we need. to
and
detail
so
about it.
how about
Yeah, great.
even,
Good call, sir.
and then how about if we go back to the bond reinvested 53 million in our community, the bond rebuilt 2 elementary schools, added instructional wings to 2 other elementary schools, and significantly remodeled our 2 comprehensive high schools. Strike the second bullet, strike the third bullet, and leave the integrated systems, camera and security.
I think
Although
that
I
we
think
should
the
have a
second-
bullet about the fields and I think that second and third bullets can be combined and we can talk about the performing arts / extracurricular fields in one bullet, more succinct.
Yeah, what if you just
So strike
don't
those
focus
two.
on the additional 45 million in revenue? That's
Right,
just talk about how it, resulted in
Invested
updates
in updates. And
So
those
take out the wording that's there, that second
and third,
and third bullet point.
combine those with one statement that talks
In-
about,
invested in co-curricular activities,
yeah.
including
not the best
athletics,
with the wording, but
So taking out that.
Fine arts,
Fine arts.
extracurricular,
co-curricular.
co-curricular.
But they get,
is that $3 million number
Okay.
accurate?
Yes,
just skip us.
The
I
300
mean, I know the $8 million grant and then the financing proceeds, but that
Make
the
total.
300 million,
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't.
yeah, it is a wow, it is a big wow. So we invested in, co-curricular,
Yeah, so I'd say
Look at
like
the- look at double
significant
space or something in
investments
there, and then
in
just, we can say
um,
paving
fine arts,
with red or something.
co-curricular and co-curricular,
fine arts,
extracurricular, however you want to say that, co and extracurricular.
fine arts, athletics, and co-curricular. The
Yeah,
only reason I emphasize
facilities.
co-curricular is because co means it's actually part of the educational, extra means it's something that could be cut, and I don't like something that could be cut. So
So-
we invested in,
In facilities,
right, significant investment in co-curricular, fine arts, and athletics throughout our district.
facilities, you could say facilities for
Okay.
those, because that would imply, I think, more than just we didn't buy uniforms. We-
Right, right.
We built significant.
Well, for a bond, it has to be facilities.
That's true. So I guess maybe that's.
Significant investment in co-curriculars,
Fine arts
fine arts,
and athletics.
and And athletics.
and athletic, facilities,
Facilities, yeah.
And
Yeah,
athletics.
athletic facilities.
unless ever.
No, I think
That would be a
that's
good thing, because you're right, the average citizen would think we bought uniforms with it,
Yeah.
and we did.
Helmet.
And it covers the new
Yeah.
auditoriums that we built up with high
Right.
school.
Right, right.
Yeah, sound systems
And
and
then we're
lights
taking
and
out-
structure, big things.
And now we can take out
Then we
those
would take,
3 bullet points above it now.
All
Right.
three?
not the
Uh,
first.
not the first one.
Not the first
Keep school
So two and
Second.
three gone.
2 and 3 gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I
and the
like Sarah's
parentheses.
recommendation, the parentheses.
Yeah.
And we're leaving the security.
Yeah.
So bullet point 4, take out
Without
the
the
parentheses
parentheses.
section, just to say integrated security system.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I like just integrated
That's two
security
lines,
systems.
Oh,
That's throughout the district, but we couldn't.
we're adding to all schools.
Strong's its own bullet.
Yeah,
Yeah, so leave that we're
So leave
adding to
that
all
we're adding all
schools and just
schools.
take out the
Take out
print.
the.
oh, got it, okay.
Okay,
I still like that it says all schools, so that it's not.
right, so it doesn't look like we just.
Obviously, we got it, but.
Right?
There you
Thank you. That's.
How's that look?
Sorry, the other thing that might be worth advertising is a strong partnership with our local community college and business network
Hmm.
for expanded student opportunities
So
that can
is
fit on
that-
the CTE programs.
So put something else up there with that.
Yeah, I just think we,
That's okay.
Would that go under?
You
the
can add
bullet
it next
CTE
to the
programs that are
CTE
professional
About
programs?
each way.
yeah, like CTE programs and apprenticeship programs.
In partnership.
Yeah, or CT programs and strong partnerships with
Also,
the local community college and business community.
As its own bullet under points and price.
I just think broaden the CT programs
Oh, got it, okay. Very good.
and maybe the apprenticeship programs is where I was saying we could.
Is the CT programs and apprenticeship programs and the partnership with community college 3 distinct,
They're all connected, but the
They're
CT
connected.
programs defined
right?
really does feature a strong partnership with Mountain Community College.
and local
And local
business.
business.
And
Do we use acronyms, assuming that everybody who reads this understands what acronyms are? I know what SPED is, I can't think what EML is.
English.
Thank you.
And if they don't, a quick Google search
And
away.
you can repeat with that.
And
So
but you think that's
CTE
a
programs and
nationwide
apprenticeship programs.
acronym, or do you
partnership
think
with
other
local
states?
Community college,
I feel like we
It
changed
doesn't-
The local community college and
I don't
business.
think it's national.
We'll let
Should
them
we
look it up.
spell it out?
We'll let them look it up.
Yeah, that's a quick Google search.
Yeah,
away.
we'll let them look it up. Okay,
Cause I feel like we've changed it from ELL to ENL.
Well, and there's areas in the state that's, it's still ELL, because it's in
So I
legislation,
just
by
wanted to
reporting.
okay.
so we'll change on the bottom too, we'll change all those dates, we'll make the dates that we talked about, so. It's nice for the candidates to know exactly when that schedule is gonna, how it's gonna happen throughout the whole process.
So we'll post the actual dates.
We'll put the dates, the ones that we
Yeah,
talked
instead of
about,
early December or mid-December.
those will be added to that. We'll take care of that.
Those little special little bit of this is.
Yeah.
We're actually hitting that initial timeline pretty.
We're hitting the timeline well, but we're not doing well on my hour and a half to 2 hours for the meeting.
Oh.
Well, welcome.
You just don't know what one thing.
My fault. You, great,
Times,
great
so,
discussion.
no,
I was like, hey,
Yeah.
we're pretty on track, we're done at 11.
yeah.
We have to be done by 10:45.
Well, you got 3 minutes then.
Yeah, so we do need to, is this it?
I think we're done as far as
Okay,
our
great.
piece, and we will make sure that, you'll get one, we'll get this back to Sarah and, to Kathy and Chris, to one more final review with the posting before we publish it.
Okay.
You can tell us, yep, ready to go. We don't want to miss anything that we captured today. Any other questions for us?
Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, great.
Go sightsee.
We have not, we walked, I don't know where we go.
We just, yeah, we were exhausted by the time, just with the time change.
Oh, yeah.
At like 6 o'clock for the same.
There's a great cafe right on Division.
That,
So save it up.
Yeah,
So, because we're not gonna take a break and you guys do have to get going and we do have to be by 11, Sarah, if you haven't, I could just forward the email that I forwarded to you to the board and they could look at it online. It's just a few things about the interim search. I think Chris and I would have been in a position, if you guys don't mind, that we'll just start.
No.
going.
Right, yeah. Back up here.
That, Chris and I would have been in a position to try to, talk.
Right, we're
about
done. There you go. John.
But since we have you here, all in a group at an official meeting,
Right.
I wanted to run these things by you. The deadline has passed. There were 9 candidates that we received information for.
Mhm.
What I have is, I'm gonna forward it just right now to you. I cannot, I'm gonna email it, yeah. I'm sorry. Who am I missing? Blake, Polly, Sean, Myra?
Could you say that GBSD?
David, yeah.
Yeah.
Do I have that group?
You should have
Okay,
GBSD.
Send it.
Okay.
It's this, both the schedule without names of candidates, 4 on one night, 3 on the next, and then the final schedule. We will decide, at the last, there it is. The last schedule.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, you guys. Safe trips home.
Thank you.
So in the schedule part, it's just the 28th, the 30th, and the 4th. It will be a long night. If on the 28th, we start at 5:30, it's 20 minutes for the interview. One of the next documents you'll see is a list of potential
So I
questions.
had a quick
And
question about that. So Sean had listed that neither the 28th or the 30th were.
I'm fine.
Is that
I-
it? Okay.
So we missed Sean in the initial
I just
review
wanted to make, I was like,
and
oh.
Myra in the night of the final interviews, but those are the only dates. And we can try to find a date that would work for everybody if you want to hear, but if we move forward with these dates, this is how it has to work. And so the next document that you'll see is the questions. Yeah, it was just I took them from COSA and, primarily, and then, so we can make it smaller. If you think that gives us enough time for a 20-minute interview to 25 with a 5-minute break, that's a long night.
So the 28th and the 30th we're proposing.
Correct.
What time?
Well, it says it starts at 5:30 to 6 for the first candidate, 6 to 6:30, 6:30 to 7, so that's 5 in one night, and 4 for the next meeting. But with the last 30 minutes to discuss how we narrow it down to a finalist list. And that's up to you, whether that's 2, 3, or 4 people. I have no preference.
Same time on the 28th?
Yes, 5:30 to 7:38.
Is 30 minutes long enough?
Okay, so you have 3 documents. One's the schedule, the next is the questions. And the third is a matrix, which again is just a draft. But I don't know. I mean, I would, when we did the interviews for the firms, I thought I was worried it wouldn't be enough time, and it actually was more than enough time.
Yeah.
So maybe look at the questions then on your next questions for the board. I mean, there's really only.
Question number 6 isn't quite accurate.
Well, you can just change it.
It was Gresham High School, it wasn't Gresham-Barlow.
It was Gresham
Oh,
High
right.
School and it was the Gresham-Barlow administration, the district office administration.
So the 4th is the final.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Sarah?
So the vote of no confidence was for the Gresham High School principal as well as the district office administration.
Yeah, but I didn't say anything about who it was against.
Yeah, I'm clear.
I didn't
She
know.
was saying it was incorrect.
Yeah.
Oh.
You listed as Gresham-Barlow.
Oh,
Red,
right,
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 High
yeah,
school.
yeah, I tried to make it, I did try to make it.
And were they, so was the
non-directive.
no confidence around student discipline for both? Cause I don't,
Yeah,
sorry, I
that's
don't
the part
remember.
that I thought you were saying was.
Oh,
No.
and so the question is, first of all, do we want to ask their impression of what they would do? And if we want that, how would you phrase the
Yeah, I
question?
was like, if you do, I would not list it the way you do. I would
Yeah.
list it more in a general, like,
That's the
if
first
you run
question is,
into
do you
a
want to
school
hear?
with low morale, or if you.
First question,
Yeah,
do you want to hear something about this? If we don't even have to talk about the
We
question.
do,
Okay.
but I think framed generally.
Yeah.
like, Tell, you know,
Like as a,
Share an
if this
instance of leading
situation were
in.
to arise, how would you
Yeah.
handle it? Like,
yeah,
if you're experiencing low morale, low staff morale, or that, like, yeah, it's
How do you
more
address?
general.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Is there any thought around, so you want to interview all 9 candidates? Is there any thought around?
Well, that was kind of.
That was
narrowing
another
it down?
question.
That was
I'm
another
totally
question.
open. I don't know. Nobody's seen them yet. I just said, once we figured this conversation out,
Yeah.
then Sarah would send it out based on all of this.
Honestly, mine is.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
the question then was, did you want Kathy and I to
Yeah,
I would
Sort
trust you guys to do that out of.
I wanna be a part of it.
yeah.
Out of what?
Okay,
I
Self-preservation.
wanna be part of the.
okay,
Were you part of the search committee anyway?
So do you want the search committee to do it?
no, cause I wanna be on it. And I wasn't on the search committee, we can't have 4 people on the thing, otherwise we'll make a decision.
Well, does somebody else want to be on it to make it more, I mean, I don't have to be on it.
I just said I wanna be part of it.
Myra does, for sure.
And I'm asking if there's.
Yeah,
anyone
no,
else
we're
that
making
wants
sure that
to
you heard
be-
what Myra said, cause she's
Yeah,
right
yeah.
down here.
No, I don't think I can do it.
I can't do it in the next couple of weeks, but. I mean, if we have the candidates to narrow down, I could probably make it 28. If we have like. The. Whatever, narrow down candidates for.
You're saying you
Whatever,
can't be there? on the
I
30th?
can be on the 20th.
You cannot on the 30th?
Can,
On the
Not-
30th, I would highly prefer not to, but I.
So then Kathy, Chris and I can try to narrow it down to less than 9. And see how many we end up with.
Yeah, and if
And
it's
hopefully
2
do
nights.
all of them on the
fine.
28th.
And so in doing that, let me just ask.
narrow it down to
process-wise.
whom?
Yeah, that was what I was just gonna ask.
Yeah, do
Um,
you wanna see numbers? Do you wanna look at applications first and decide from there how many you think you should interview? I mean, there's kind of a weird, like, cause if you say we're only gonna interview 3, then what if you ended up with 4 really good ones and lock yourself in?
yeah, so I'm back to the process thing. So narrowing it down, the process to do that, are we going by their application and doing it? Are we talking to them?
No,
Or
Going by
the
the
application against the matrix? To at least see, do
Yes.
they even
The
meet
ma-
the,
okay, the matrix that you see is based on the questions that we're going to ask them.
right,
If you want, if you want to have a matrix to do an initial narrowing, then you need to talk about what that matrix would look like. The matrix that I prepared is not for a review of the applicants.
so
application.
then how are you and Myra and I going to review the applicants?
And
That's
that's,
what she's asking.
that's, I'm asking that question.
Asking the
Do
same
you
question.
No, I'm
want to
just
create
saying that
another?
The
Yeah.
matrix doesn't work for what you want it to be, so
Okay.
you guys tell us what you want us to review it against to narrow it down.
Are the applications submitted in a consistent frame? Like,
They were told to, I haven't seen them, it was a cover letter.
Yeah, so that, yeah, there's a
resume.
letter of interest or resume. Some of them have letters or recommendations. Multiple, some had just a couple.
That was the
um,
requirement.
do we want? Do we want the whole board to review the applicants, kind of Google rate them? And then we end up, see if there's a clear, I mean, that's how we do it if we're interviewing.
How are you Google rating them? That's what I'm trying to get at. What
Yeah,
are
well,
we
we?
could
So
say
you get a
Sarah,
system in place of how you
And-
rate.
By looking at the application.
we could rank them 1 to 9 and Sarah could put those in, 1 being the highest, 9, and whoever's.
But
Yeah.
based on what?
Qualifications,
their
experience,
application.
Right, but that's what she's,
yeah.
what I hear both of these asking is,
Yeah.
what rubric are we gonna use to rank them?
Yes,
And-
cause you
and-
guys need to have a same base level understanding of what
Right.
you're
One
gonna look
thing,
at.
Right. And
Look at the matrix that you have in front of you. It's an attachment to see if that would work. I have it listed.
I like it for the interview questions. Yeah.
Right,
you're
so can we extrapolate something from that that you all could use? And the weightings are irrelevant, whether we use that weighting or not, I wouldn't, we don't have to include that. But at least,
So
Can-
and I will say, so the job posting itself said application requirements are a cover letter of interest and current resume, including 3 to 5 references.
Yep.
So some people took that as they listed 3 to 5 references with contact information in their resume. Some people sent me 3 to 5 letters of recommendation with their references.
Hmm.
So some of them are gonna have more letters of recommendation than others. And so, cause there was a little bit of that, like, well,
Confusion,
is
yeah.
a reference a letter of recommendation, or is
so
it, I'm listing a
looking
reference?
at the email, can you see, is there? Can you wanna extrapolate that to use as your review, or do you want something else?
Oh, I think it would be worth
Yeah, you-
extrapolating. I think it'd be hard to dive into some of the stuff. I think you're generally looking at how they meet the qualifications of the.
Well, one of the things
job
is, that we should have, a clarification on is like, I think, Chris, should they have, superintendent experience, prior superintendent experience? If some of us say, yes, they should, and they don't, then that would be skewed. If we say, I mean, so there's some things that we should have a universal understanding of to review
So-
this.
There were 8 characteristics, qualities and characteristics listed in the posting. Is that something that we could use as the rating based on, take those 8 and how does their resume and letter
Align with
stack
that.
up
I
to
like
those
that.
8?
I
And
like
that's the
Yeah.
rankings?
So Sarah's going to, on Monday, not today if you don't want to, send
Probably
out
not
all
today.
9 with the job posting. And everyone rate how you think with people, and so what's.
And I can throw that into a spreadsheet, similar to you have that
Okay.
matrix, I can just throw those characteristics into it with the ratings of,
Okay. 1 to 4, whatever, I don't know.
yeah, whatever
I
the.
mean, what I've done at work, whether it's interviews, whatever, is we have 9 applications or 9 interviews, whatever. And then I have my team rank them from the top candidate to the bottom candidate.
Mhm.
And then they send me the information and then I have a
And then I would correlate.
little
like, okay,
formula,
this is
like,
how
okay,
everybody-
this person is, has this many
This was
points.
ranked 1 and 2
Right,
and 1
right. And I mean,
four, however
I
many.
absolutely get that, but somewhere you have an agreement with your group. What does a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4
No,
mean?
it's their first candidate and their 9th candidate.
Okay,
There
but
is no
somewhere,
sub-
Based on their own
right,
perspectives.
based on,
then. It's
okay,
just based on their own
so,
perspectives.
okay,
And then that's not necessarily the final, like, okay, we have to only go to the top 3. That's where your guys's leadership role, okay, this is overall how, this is the top 4 or 5 candidates. Is there somebody else that maybe wasn't ranked as high that should get
Yeah.
moved in, and then it's just to keep it easy, the lowest number is the best candidate and the
One
largest.
is-
So, yeah.
I would say the only
that makes sense.
caution sitting in the superintendent committee when we are choosing the firm.
Mhm.
Not everyone had the same baseline understanding. They were all coming with their own preferences, and so the scoring ended up a little weird and wonky on that. So that would be my only caution in doing it that way, of not having everybody on the same page in how you're going to review them
Mhm.
moving in, but.
I've been on a number of hiring panels, with the city, for example.
Mhm.
And the way that works is HR receives the applications and they screen it down to those who are qualified.
Mhm.
And so to me, that's the first step. And that does not have to be the board. Did they meet the submission requirements? Do they meet the qualifications that are not just preferred but required? That can be screened out, and that's what whoever can do that. Then you have the set interview questions, that's all we have, and then like a rubric. But that rubric is really generic. It's subject to personal perspective.
Mhm.
You interview, you grade them, you grade the candidate. After the interviews is when an HR, a trained person steps in and says, how, let's have a conversation. How many do you recommend forward for executive interviews, for example? And to me, that's the process that we're trying to do, and that's the only step that's missing is who facilitates that. And that's what I wonder if that's this committee. Sits there after you've gotten all the grades, come back, we have a brief conversation as a board, which if that's a special virtual work session, I think that's. Otherwise, you talk about personal preference, that's gonna happen
Right,
no matter what.
right.
The question is it the full board input or is it a few?
All I'm saying is that from COSA, and this is just what I picked up from COSA, they said the board should interview all the first round. The board should participate in seeing all the applicants.
Oh, really?
I didn't talk her
Okay.
about the rationale for that or what was behind it.
And she may have been thinking 3 or 4, not 9.
Yeah.
Well, she certainly didn't know what our 9 was, but she did say,
That was my understanding of the interviews, so maybe we just need to clarify with her, because I thought it was that all of the board would interview the candidates that come forward.
right,
But
Which
we
is
didn't
not
talk about
necessarily.
screening.
Right, so that's the question, because she maybe is assuming you're down to 3, the full board should interview the 3, we're not
No.
gonna come back for.
she was
She had said
clear,
they all,
Well,
all of them interviewed,
So
but
maybe
again, she didn't know there was 9.
Maybe the one criteria is, did they meet all of the requirements of the, like,
yeah, I mean, the
do
submittal
those-
was to
take
email
out
me.
those, if any of
That's
the
very
9
easy.
don't meet that, eliminate those. And then the board interviews the rest.
I think it's gonna
It's
be all
still gonna
9.
be 9.
It's still gonna be
it'll be
9, I think.
So the
they-
only question is,
So I take that back, there was one that submitted through Frontline, is not email me. So it would be 8 if we
The-
really did it strictly down to like, you were supposed to email me this stuff, you submitted it through Frontline instead.
so and the reason why is that we posted it, I didn't even think about Frontline, but when HR posted it, the only way they can receive applications is through Frontline. And that's not the instructions on the, it said to email Sarah,
Yeah.
but,
So
so
one
that's
person
up to
put
the
in their
board.
application that with their resume that way.
I don't know that I would
So-
just call.
Um,
That's if Frontline is
It
hard.
was a very simple, like, either email it
So,
or send.
so the concern that I think I hear is that if the board looks at all 9, what is a rubric that is consistent and applied fairly? If we can get there, would that still be the preferred process?
Honestly, I'm fine interviewing all 9. I think if that's
Oh.
what COSA recommends, let's just interview all 9 is my take. The only concern I have is stacking 30 minutes at a time.
I
And if
think
we
it'll
could
take
just
less time.
provide
Yeah.
you think we
Less
can do it?
time?
I would think more.
I would
Yeah.
think
Honestly.
For the
Half an hour's pretty
hour.
short.
5 for each candidate.
That's what I was.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which then, I mean, I understand interviewing 9 candidates, that's a lot, but I assume there's probably half that are like, if we collectively look at the resumes, we're like, yeah, probably they may not be our choice. And so, I mean, it just helps preserve time so we can have higher quality time with the candidates that we want to interview, as opposed to like doing a.
But if we're going back to, we need clarification, are we really supposed to interview 9
Yeah.
people? So.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and again, she of course never had any idea it was 9. Does Zoom make it any better?
I think Zoom makes it a little bit harder because you don't, I think so.
Yeah.
Because we're looking for someone that is,
No, I totally agree, I just wanted to.
yeah, no, yes and no.
I haven't been a part of an executive interview. I would say that, like, meeting on the, whatever, on the panel side. But I do think it's a little bit easier if you say, hey, we've got 30 minutes to answer these 7 questions.
Yeah, define.
Yeah, just really define the parameters up front. If that number is 20 minutes, that's our prerogative. I just think it's really,
Time.
Kathy, I would get clarification on whether they have to be interviewed, like the board has to interview them, or can the board screen them? Because if we look at all 9, if the entire board looks at all 9, and then we decide to interview the
Screen
top
them.
4, yeah, like
So
from what
let
I'm,
me
because I'm
clarify.
wondering if they are asking for the entire board to be involved in the selection, and does that mean, hey, we're all screening, and that's the first step is screening, and we're all doing it together, and then our second step is the interview.
So
So we don't have
can
to-
I clarify?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm really tired and it's 11 and I know I'm gonna lose you guys. COSA recommended, to Myra's point, that the board be involved in the whole process.
Yeah.
That's the recommendation. I can't tell you what the rationale is behind that because I didn't ask that. That was just what she said. I think it's gonna be whatever this board wants. What do you want? If you wanna be part of screening or at least seeing all 9 candidates, then we need to figure out a way that we're all comfortable doing that, if it's not an interview. If you don't wanna interview all 9, then or if you don't care to see all 9, then let a committee do it. COSA, I would say that COSA's was a recommendation. And I could ask them, but then we're still down. I think we make a decision based on what the board wants in terms of 9 candidates
I
today.
would be in favor of not giving ourselves a number that we have to make it to. So like, we have to narrow it down to the top 4. I think if we're gonna not do all 9 interviews, then maybe we can rank them like we were talking about. And if there's 6 that are relatively close in numbers, and then there's 3 that aren't, then maybe we interview 6.
And does that
Instead
mean
of-
that the entire board ranks?
Yes.
Okay.
And I will say that from the rankings that I've done, it's pretty obvious. Like there's like your top whatever, and then it's a pretty big drop off.
And if there's some that are close, so we can add
Yeah,
the close
exactly.
ones. in.
So all the board ranks, Sarah sends them out, all the board ranks them and whatever. We can talk about that quickly now. And then the 3 of us gather those rankings and come up with a total number to interview.
Yeah. Does that work?
Okay.
It's just data. It's a
That way, if
data
there's a
set.
couple that are clearly
That are
not, that we
close
wanna
or-
interview, then we can take
Yeah.
those off, and if there's multiple that are close, we can.
So make sure, so I will send out the applications to everybody on Monday, right?
Yes,
Everybody will rank them 1 to 9,
Yeah.
1 being the top, right?
yes.
And then those rankings will get compiled and sent to Kathy, Chris and Myra,
Yep.
correct?
Yes.
Okay,
And then
And then-
where are these?
and then they'll decide on the final.
In the job description.
In the job description.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah,
was
yeah.
up there. Yeah, that's the part I was looking on here.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
and
the
that,
due
you're gonna
date
send
for
that.
that would be,
That's a good question.
Wednesday. Is that too aggressive?
I think that's
I
fine.
know.
I think that's fine.
Well, because we have to, are we gonna keep the 28th and 30th? Because we have to tell them.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if we got it done by Wednesday and notified top 6 of the Zoom interview
Yeah, I think we should do that
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
And
when
then
are you gonna
if
send
it's
it,
one
Sarah?
night,
You're
it's
gonna
one night.
Send it on Monday.
She said she was
I
gonna send
might
it
send
Monday.
it today. That's all right.
So I send it today, that helps me get it done by
Yeah.
Wednesday, because Monday.
And you'll see the, job description.
And I trust the committee.
So I don't need to
after
do
the
any type
meeting
of
to make-
matrix thing, right? You guys are just gonna rank it, saying,
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
one day.
And then you're gonna give it back to Sarah.
Yeah.
And then Sarah will get it
I
to,
can compile those numbers for you
Like a
guys. if you want.
spreadsheet.
and
Yeah.
then do we need to set up a
Applicant
meeting
one,
for us
where it
to
ranks this way by each.
or do you wanna do it Zoom, or what do you wanna do? I mean, we might as well schedule something
Yeah.
now.
And if you want, instead of saying like, oh, Blake breaks these outcomes this way, you could, I guess, give the final number.
I
tally
could just
to the
say
committee.
applicant 1 got, was
Couple
ranked
points.
1, 3,
Yeah.
whatever your 7 rankings are. Like,
Exactly.
they
like
were
the
ranked
total
1,
rank
2,
number.
1, 1, 3, it doesn't have to be like.
so you're talking about just a time that Kathy, Myra and I can meet?
Well, we wanna
after-
get information to the candidates by Wednesday or Thursday, I don't know.
Right. So if we get the results back from the board with their rankings by the 23rd, then,
I'm available Thursday.
I'm available Thursday.
I have to say.
Yeah.
I think I'd rather see your rankings, David's rankings,
Oh,
as opposed to having that combined. That would give me a better,
Well, I think that would help the
Okay,
the
each
committee
individual.
identify
Yeah,
that candidate who's like, wait, we have some disagreement.
yeah,
Or
exactly.
the discussion.
fair enough.
Could be, yeah, could be variety. Okay,
Which would be totally the
But
end.
I
we
want-
currently have, just for FYI, the 3 of us are currently in policy meeting on October 25th.
That's a
So
Friday,
whether or
though.
not,
The Friday before the meetings on Monday.
Is that enough time for the
what meeting on Monday?
candidates?
The first
The first
interview.
interview.
Oh, I was looking one out. Okay, sorry.
Yeah,
No.
that's what, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
available Thursday. And then they
Um,
can be notified right after we meet, whoever's.
I'm not available on Thursday until after 2:30 because of the board interviews at Barlow.
Or since they're coming out to.
Oh,
this
yeah, I'm doing
weekend,
that too,
can't
the
we
mock
just say
interviews.
do
Yeah.
by 4 p.m. on Tuesday, and that way you guys can meet on Wednesday?
I'm doing it on Thursday.
Oh, yeah, that's true. What about
She
Wednesday?
sends it
The
today,
end of day
then-
Tuesday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so-
if we're asking, if the board gets it done early.
No, we're saying move the board deadline to
That's what I was saying.
Tuesday.
Oh,
Board deadline
But
just
that would
Tuesday
depend on
instead
if you guys were available Wednesday.
I'm available.
I'm available
Wednesday
afternoon. Let me see, I'm available Wednesday.
And that way it'd be
Tuesday.
potentially Wednesday, but for sure Thursday, Friday,
That
4
would be,
days or
That gives them a
whatever.
few days.
Right, okay. And we're gonna meet in person or virtually?
I have a couple of appointments,
If it's
but,
an official committee, I have to notice it and
Right.
do all that.
so when are you guys available?
I'm
Wednesday?
available Wednesday afternoon, so 1:30 and on.
I'm available. I can work whatever time.
I'd say, 3 to 4 maybe.
So Wednesday, the 23rd, 3 to 4. This will be interim superintendent search.
And then if something gets to do.
Uh-huh.
I'm like,
White out.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go backwards then. So you're gonna send out all the applications to the board along with
The
the
job description.
job
The
description.
job description.
We'll rank from 1 to 9, 1 being your number one person, 9 being the bottom of the list. That information then will go back to you, Sarah?
Yeah.
Okay,
And then
We
we
wanna
want to
make
do a
sure-
spreadsheet.
right,
Blake Brenton, 1, 2, 3, 5, Sean Rachel.
got it, okay, so that we can see
And I'll
if
send
there's
that to
any,
you guys.
and there would be a
Real
final number
interesting,
for you.
yeah. right, and any.
Yeah, like the average.
Yeah.
Or like,
Okay,
yeah.
and then Myra, Kathy and I will meet on October
Yeah.
23rd, at 3 p.m. to go over them, to get down to our
That's what
final,
only scored 9.
however many final
Remember what-
interviews we're gonna have, and we'd like to do the interviews
that's
then
sometimes
on October
It's like
28th, and we shouldn't move the third.
So what time, where are we meeting, or is it virtual, or either one that's right?
Oh, yeah, that's you for the.
I'd rather meet in person,
Okay.
Because just tell me where.
if there's room, if we've got
Yes,
space
let me
here.
double check.
Thank you all for volunteering to meet and
Yeah.
come up with the final list.
Yeah. I know you guys are gonna get the rankings.
So
in
here?
Well, I'll probably do it this weekend if possible, because
Okay.
Me too.
Yeah, we can do it a week start.
Yeah, mine starts kind of hard and fast too, so.
I'll see if I can double check with the business office. They have the whole afternoon of the small conference room reserved. But I'll see if we can.
This is the
stay.
last time.
And it's the
we'll meet.
little one where we usually get food.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
this is the last time we'll meet, and so we didn't finalize the questions.
Questions for?
When we do the interviews with the interim, we need to finalize if you don't like
Yes.
how that's worded.
Yeah.
So do you wanna send, not, don't
I trust you
respond
all.
all,
Yeah.
but if you
Yeah,
have
don't
it,
respond
how,
all to send it
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
want.
and
Kathy.
did you
input on
send
those
those
questions,
She
but
did.
send them to me.
Yeah.
It's in the attachment. Okay.
It's in the attachment.
Okay.
And if we have to get them down, if there's one that you don't want,
Got it.
maybe if just say if you wanted. say-
Oh, the ones that we just looked at. now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was
We
one. I
need to
didn't like.
finalize what those
Yeah,
are before they.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right.
Thank you, thank you,
Adjourned, right?
thank you. We are adjourned. Thank you.